This podcast of the Equine Forum is brought to you by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business. It all begins in 15 seconds right after this word from our podcast sponsor.
The University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business is now offering a graduate certificate, which can be completed in 15 or 30 weeks and be done as a standalone or used as 20% of your MBA. Classes at both the undergraduate and graduate level are forming now.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
They're an eighth of a mile from home. Guns loaded. He's still on the lead, and he leads by 2.5. Second is Treaty of Rome. He's trying to gain late ground. Final 16th of a mile. Here comes Treaty of Rome. Guns loaded needs the wire. Treaty of Rome lifting. Guns loaded hung on. Guns Loaded won the Mucho Macho Man by a diminishing neck.
Touchy's the leader for how long, though? Coming in hot's right on by. Coming in hot, indeed he is coming in hot. And he's rolling right on by. And Touchy has nothing in response. Now he shifts to the outside, tries to re-rally late. But Coming in hot gets it done with Irving Mancada in the 30th running of the Turfway Preview.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Cyclone State is now 8 lengths in front and pouring it on. Omaha on the grandstand side. ICANN is trying to run on Studley Do-Right. Inside the final furlong, Cyclone State is all alone. It's Cyclone State for a final 16th. Cyclone State's almost there. Cyclone State will win the Jerome.
Barnes turns for home, Fuller run in the San Vicente, opening up by 3. Romanesque rallying in between horses, Bullard on the outside, but it's a one-horse race going to the 16th pole. Barnes is a beast. Another San Vicente for Bob Baffer. This time it's Barnes, handridden to a 6-length victory.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everyone, and welcome to the show that launched a network. It is the Equine Forum, and it is all presented by TwinSpires right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, ready to roll on this Saturday morning right up until 11 a.m. Eastern. Happy to have you in the starting gate with me on Sirius 162, XM 207, our affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, and streaming worldwide and podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. The list of Eclipse Award finalists was announced last weekend, and I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about the Eclipse Awards for you here this morning. Those awards are going to be given out in just 12 days at the Breakers in South Florida. And there are so many deserving candidates, but as is often the case with any awards presentation and nominations for various awards, you're going to have some controversy. You're going to have individuals that were left off the ballot, and in some cases you're going to say, well, I think that was the right decision, and you're going to have people on the other side of that fence that are going to say, no, that's a person that should have been included. And one of those people for me is jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. Brian did not make the cut for the top 3 finalists in the champion jockey category. The 3 jockeys that did make the cut, all very deserving. Tremendous years. Flavien Prat, record-setting year. Irad Ortiz Jr., incredible year, yet again. Tyler Gaffalione, rock solid. He is year in and year out. But I think when you look at the resume of Brian Hernandez Jr. this year, guiding what many people presume is going to be the horse of the year, Torpedo Anna, through a campaign and doing that flawlessly, winning the Kentucky Derby with Mystic Dan, and then adding several other great stakes throughout the year. I think people forget about that when they think about Brian Hernandez Jr., they just think about Mystic Dan, and they think about Torpedo Anna, and rightfully so. Those were the stars of the show. But there were several other great stakes victories on Brian's resume in 2024, and that's why I put Brian in my top 3. I think that Brian should have been included. And then the question becomes, well, who do you leave off, Baron? Which of the – you're not taking Flavien Prat out. You're certainly not taking Irad out. So I think in the case of including Brian Hernandez Jr., the odd man out is Tyler Gaffalione. When you look at the other greatest stakes victories on Brian's resume in 2024, there's some good ones. He won the Grade 2 Clark with a horse not named Torpedo Anna, not named Mystic Dan. The horse was Rattle and Roll. He won the Kentucky Downs Ladies Turf Stakes with Walkathon. He won the Bryant Station with Brilliant Birdie, the Pucker Up with Waves of Mischief, and the Pimlico Special with Pyrenees. So there's some other rock-solid greatest stakes wins to his credit from this past year. And I think that he's very deserving with the season he had. An historic year, a memorable year for him. I think that he should have been among the top three, and I put him in there. Didn't matter because he didn't make it. But I think that he was deserving of being in the top three. Doesn't mean the other three were not. I just think when you do something such as what Brian Hernandez did, I think that he deserved to be in there. Kind of the same thought process with Ken McPeak. I actually voted Ken McPeak as the Eclipse Award winner. Now, I know Chad Brown, from a numbers perspective, stakes victories, greatest stakes victories perspective, there was nobody better in 2024 than Chad Brown. But again, when you look at a trainer, a jockey that has an historic year, a once-in-a-lifetime type of year, like Ken McPeak did, to me, that goes a long way. And I know that when voters sit down to look at these different categories, everybody approaches it in a different way. And there were plenty of other categories that were really tight, and I spent a lot of time debating which horses I was going to give the top vote. And here's the way it works. For those of you that don't know how these finalists are selected, each of us as voters have to select 3 horses, 3 individuals in each category. And you have to rank them 1, 2, and 3. So whichever horse you feel, for example, 3-year-old male, whichever horse you feel is your top pick, the pick you have as the champion in that particular division, that's the one that you put down as number 1. Then you select the number 2 and you select the number 3. And then all of those votes are added up and compiled, and you come up with a top 3 list. So because I had Brian Hernandez Jr. in my top 3, well, there weren't enough. He didn't get enough support from other voters to make it into the top 3. So 3-year-old male, I think that's a very interesting category, but I think it's going to go to Sierra Leone. But, for example, I voted for Sierra Leone, and I put him number 1, Fierceness number 2, and then you have Dornock in there at number 3. And I think I went with Seize the Gray over Dornock. By the way, speaking of Dornock, you're going to hear from his trainer coming up, Danny Gargan, coming up here in just a little bit, 8:35 Eastern. He has another horse, Rookie Card, going in the Pasco later today down at Tampa Bay Downs. So I'll get a chance to talk to Danny, not only about Dornock and the campaign he had last year. I'll let him make his case as to why he feels he could potentially be the champion 3-year-old male. But I'm also going to ask him if Rookie Card in any way leads him to believe he could have another Dornock in his stable here in 2025. But you look at that category, Sierra Leone, Fierceness, Dornock, and to me, when you get categories like this that are very close, and there are going to be plenty of people that I'm sure put Fierceness on top over Sierra Leone, to me it comes down to a couple of things. Grade 1 victories, which horse had the most grade 1s, and then if that's a tie, then I think you look at the head-to-head. And then if that's a tie, I go to grade 2 wins. That's your next level, right? So I go to grade 2 victories. Which horse had the most grade 2 wins? And then so on and so on. You can get all the way down to grade 3s if everything else is equal. And then if everything is still the same, you kind of have to make a judgment call based on what you saw throughout the entire year. But everybody is going to approach that a little bit differently. So I'll spend some time talking about the different Eclipse Award categories. I'm going to hit Dale and Tim up, Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin, with some of those questions when they join me in the final segment of the show. I ask, they answer at 10:30 Eastern. A couple of days ago, we also got a chance to know which individuals were going to be honored with the Media Eclipse Awards. And congratulations to everybody who is going to be hoisting the hardware in just 12 days down in South Florida. One of those individuals is my dear friend Sean Clancy of the Saratoga Special. Somebody you know very, very well from being in the industry for a long time, but somebody that you've heard here on the radio, not just as a guest, but as somebody who has worked with us many, many times over the years. He is uber talented as a writer. And Sean is going to be honored with his 3rd Eclipse Award this year. And his 2nd consecutive, by the way. I think it's starting to become a little bit of a dynasty for Sean Clancy now. Maybe one more. We'll start to call it a dynasty. But 2 in a row is pretty good. I'll talk to him about his piece that won. It's called 2 for the Show, looking back on the Travers Stakes, that great showdown between Fierceness and Torpedo Anna at Saratoga last summer. Sue Finley is going to join me as well. She is the recipient of the Eclipse Award in the multimedia category. And Sue is extremely passionate, as so many people are, about horse rescue, horse retirement. And she put together a piece titled, "After Saving 2 Horses from the Kill Pen, Stewart Aims to Do More to End Slaughter." Talking about John Stewart, Resolute Racing. And it's a really cool thing to see her honored for a piece on this particular topic. And we're going to spend some time bringing that topic to light when Sue joins me at 9 o'clock Eastern this morning. The other really awesome thing that was out there in the news this week was the news that Frank Taylor and his stable recovery program are going to be honored with a special Eclipse Award for service to the thoroughbred industry. Frank, along with Christian Kunzler, who is the CEO of Stable Recovery, Frank's Stable Recovery Program, they work together to help individuals who are struggling with addictions. And they do it not just through this Stable Recovery Program, but through the tailor-made School of Horsemanship. And they are, not only are they changing lives, they are saving lives. And I cannot think of a better recipient for an Eclipse Award for service to the thoroughbred industry than Frank Taylor. And, of course, credit to CEO Christian Kunzler there, too, as I mentioned. So Frank is going to be with me at 9:20. I'll get a chance to talk to him about the program. You've heard Will Walden on this program a couple of times. And if you missed last year my conversation with Will on our Trainer Talk program, you'll want to go back and search for it on our website and listen to it again. It is awesome. It is a story of perseverance, being at rock bottom, hitting rock bottom, and now seeing where Will Walden is today, and he's winning races as a trainer. It's really cool. He went through that program, and he's not shy about talking about his battles with addiction. So make sure you do that. You won't be disappointed, but make sure you stay tuned for Frank coming up at 9:20 here this morning as well. I'm also going to bring you a bit of an update on what's happening with the situation at Santa Anita, and I want to extend my best wishes to everyone in Southern California who is dealing with these horrific fires. So many people have lost everything. And it's heartbreaking to see those images and to see some of the images coming out of Santa Anita from the horsemen and the fires being so close. The plan for today, they did not race yesterday, the plan for today is to race, but only if the air quality is safe to do so. And as we move throughout the program this morning, I'm going to try and bring you an update on the latest developments at Santa Anita and Southern California with those fires. But just know we are certainly here at HRN thinking of everyone there, not just the horsemen, everybody who is dealing with that horrific tragedy in Southern California. It is not a good situation, and we wish everybody all the best, and please stay safe. So here's the lineup for you this morning. Again, lots of things to get to. The majority of the conversation can be focused around the Eclipse Awards. I'm going to welcome Sean Clancy coming up at 8:15. 8:35, you'll hear from Danny Gargan, looking back on Door Knock last year and talking about the Pasco Stakes at Tampa Bay Downs this afternoon. Sue Finley from the TDN, 9 o'clock Eastern, 9:20. Frank Taylor, 9:40. I'm going to bring you a conversation with Frank Miramati. Frank joined Bobby Neuman on our Betting with Bobby program yesterday afternoon. They did talk about what was happening with the situation with the fires, but Frank also spent some time talking about the horse racing side of things and what took place last week at Santa Anita, what's going to take place this week. You'll hear from Frank coming up right around 9:40 Eastern Time. 10 o'clock Eastern, Hour 3 begins with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kilroy has 3 races for you to keep an eye on last week. Ashley Anderson clobbered them last week. Her 3 selections, she had a winner, a second, and a third-place finisher. So all 3 hitting the board for Ashley. We'll see if Kevin can duplicate that coming up at 10 o'clock Eastern. 10:20, Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History. A look back at the career of Always Dreaming, the Kentucky Derby winner. I think you're going to want to stay tuned for that. And at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. Poll question this morning. Cogburn is a finalist for Champion Male Sprinter. Should there be an Eclipse Award category for Champion Turf Sprinter? And you can vote yes, you can vote no. We'll keep it really simple. Yes or no. Cogburn, his success coming on the grass this year, I don't think he's going to win the male sprinter category over Straight No Chaser, who won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So should there be an Eclipse Award category for Champion Turf Sprinter? We don't have that right now. Yes or no? Let me know your thoughts at HRRN on X. You can go to Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or you can email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know your thoughts on that poll question. When I return, you're going to hear from Eclipse Award winner Sean Clancy talking about his 3rd Eclipse Award and his 2nd consecutive. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
His sire is one of the most exciting young stallions in the world. His dam has become one of the most important brood mares in the industry. And on the first Saturday in May, his genetic brilliance shined brightest on racing's biggest stage.
They come into the final 16, and it is going to be Mage to win the Kentucky Derby.
Mage, standing at Airdrie Stud. Think about it.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And Sierra Leone is revving up 5th. He's 4 lengths off the new leader, Fierceness. 3/4 in 1:11.3. They're at the top of the stretch, and Fierceness takes command. Sierra Leone is coming with his run on the outside of Torpedo Anna, who's currently 2nd. They're in the final furlong. Johnny V asking Fierceness for everything he has. 3-length lead. Torpedo Anna running her heart out and coming with every stride. Fierceness, Torpedo Anna in an absolutely dramatic conclusion. The champ is back. Fierceness holds off a gallant Torpedo Anna to win the DraftKings Travers. Sierra Leone was 3rd.
Frank Miramati with the call of last year's Midsummer Derby. Was that the race of the year in thoroughbred racing in 2024? I don't know if any other race would top it. Certainly spectacular. And it's not often that things unfold in sports the way you expect them to unfold, and that the drama lives up to all the pre-race hype or pre-game hype. It certainly did in the Traverse Stakes last year, and it's a race that has earned Sean Clancy from the Saratoga Special and ST Publishing his third Eclipse Award, his second consecutive, and he joins me now here on HRRN. Sean, congratulations, my man.
Good morning, Mike. Thanks very much. As you know, it's a big honor to win the Eclipse Award for sure in our sport.
I said earlier that this is starting to be a bit of a dynasty now, 2 in a row. I guess maybe a third consecutive next year would make this an official dynasty.
I thought I'd get a Pittsburgh Steelers reference, back on the steel curtain and all that. No, I mean that's what I was expecting.
I don't know. You were texting with me during that Steelers-Eagles game this year, and that didn't go my way. So you're having one hell of a year, my friend.
Yeah, we got to keep it going. No, look, it's as I said, it's a big honor to win. Most importantly, I'm very proud of the special. I mean, that's something that my brother and I started. It'll be 25 years. This 25 years this year. Tom Law came on board and changed everything, and that's what I'm really proud of. That it's something that we created and something we believed in and something that we've worked hard in, and that's why that's really special.
I've said for a long time that when you read any story that you put together, Sean, it's somewhat theater of the mind, much like it is here on radio. We try to paint the picture through words. You get to do it through words in print. And as I was reading your story too for the show, I could picture myself being there at Saratoga with the connections of those horses. You did a masterful job. Tell me about the piece.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what we try to do. I mean, I think anytime you're writing, certainly with the special, we try to bring the sport to the readers who aren't able to be there, and that's really the most important part. I mean, I think we're very lucky to have the access we have and the role that we have. So that's what you're trying to do. So I take great pride in trying to figure out who to watch it with. I mean, that's any stake that I'm covering. I try to, I handicap the race. I think about the players. I think about who's going to be where, and I try to track them and follow them. So I went with Kenny McPeak. I thought she would win. I mean, I really liked her. I thought she was the best story in the race, kind of the big story. So I tracked him. I ended up kind of in the box seat with just on the edge of the box seat with him and his family and his friends and his owners. And then, of course, like everybody else, that's about, the eighth pole, or quarter pole, eighth pole. I thought, she's not going to get there. So that's when I kind of turned to kind of try to watch Todd watching it. And then, of course, she started running. So I was kind of it was like a tennis match for me. I was volleying back and forth trying to watch McPeak and trying to watch Pletcher. I mean, and then you try to bring it to life, to the readers. So, and then the rest of it just kind of unfolded. I mean, it's interesting with the special this year. We used to go daily, so I would be writing that story for Sunday morning. Now, with our schedule, we come out Wednesday, so I had a few extra days. And I do think that made a big difference, and I've said that to anybody. But as a writer, for a writer with the special, you have so much leeway, you have so much space, you have so much freedom to write a story. I mean, there's no hard deadline. I mean, you can finish at 8 o'clock at night. You can finish at midnight. Joey and Tom know I finished at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning. So, there's no hard deadline. I mean, we've never actually missed the printer. The printer's always been able to deliver it, and there's no hard word count either. So if Torpedo Anna finished a dull fourth, I could have written the drivers in 1,000 words. By her running down, trying to get there, and the finish they had, and then I can write 1,500. It doesn't matter. So that makes a big difference. And I thought it was important to weave in the Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez part. I mean, I actually was thinking about it after I won the Eclipse Award for the story. I was thinking about the two people. Those two people are probably, I've interviewed them more than any two players in the history of the special for 25 years. I mean, they really started, their ascent was really at the beginning of the special. So I've followed that all the way going back to Machado and, Left Bank and remember Freedom's, that poor little filly died. She was lovely. And anyway, I followed them all along, Johnny through Wise Dan and all the others. So I think out of all the players at Saratoga, I've interviewed them more than anybody. And I really thank them for giving me the time and the openness that they have. And I thought that was important to try to weave that in, because they know, I know, that we all know that, age will catch up to everybody, and there's not going to be that many more for them to win together. So, and I think that was really important to portray. I know it was very important for them to, at that moment. I think they really took that. They win a lot of grade ones, obviously. They win a lot of big races, but I do think those two together winning that race was really special.
And for people who may not understand how it works with media Eclipse Awards, these are not stories or features or broadcasts that are chosen to win an Eclipse Award. You submit an entry of everybody who, in each of these categories, who feels like they have something that is worthy of an Eclipse Award will submit their feature, their piece, their story, their broadcast to the NTRA, and then the voters, an independent voter panel, will look at those and assess which ones are going to be the winners. Sean, what led you to submit this piece in particular?
Well, it was interesting. I mean, Joe, my brother Joe, and Tom Law, we always kick it around and kind of throw out ideas as the deadline looms. And I had picked out two columns for the other division that I thought they were good. I didn't actually think they would win. And then we were kind of kicking around, and I said to Tom, I think actually Tom and I were talking, and I had read the Travers piece again, and I said, what do you think of the Travers? And he said, let me read it again. And he read it and said, yeah, it's worth submitting for sure. Once I read it with some time, and when I read it again with the players, with Fierceness being such a star on the year, with Torpedo Anna, with her year, probably going to be Horse of the Year. I don't know. I did feel like it was, and looking back on it, I mean, it was, I think it was, it was certainly one of the races of the year, if not the race of the year. So I thought that I just thought it just carried a lot of weight. It was had some real enormity to it. And I thought, looking at it, I mean, frankly, I thought it did read pretty well. I thought it was smooth. And when you read, anytime you look at your stuff, there's a few little things I wish I would have done a little better. Whatever. But,
yeah.
It's just that's life and that's work. I don't know. That's one of the hard things, with the Eclipse Awards. Yeah, you have to choose your own stuff, and you're like, sometimes it's hard to be not sometimes, it's always hard as kind of as a critic or of your own stuff. So. Again, I'm honored to win another, which it's special, and it's cool. Again, for the Saratoga Special, that's what I'm most proud of. I just for anybody who knows us knows how hard we work at it and how crazy it's been. I mean, the people that knew us from the beginning that were there the first couple of years. I mean, I don't think anybody thought it would actually make it. I mean, it was just it was the craziest endeavor the first few years. So I'm very proud of that.
Yep, and you should be. By the way, you can see Sean's winning Eclipse Award piece by visiting thisishorseracing.com. Search for 2 for the show, and it'll pull up for you, and you can go ahead and read that awesome story, Fierceness, Torpedo Anna in the Grade 1 Classic, the Midsummer Derby last year. Sean, the other neat part of this story is that it doesn't end with 2024, because we're going to see both of these horses back again in 2025, which I think is really great for the sport, and it could turn out to be a little bit of a rivalry if both of those horses meet a couple of times on the racetrack. They continue to compete at a high level. Who knows where this ends up, but I think it's great that they're both coming back.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt for any of us racing fans and for the sport, you're excited to see him again. I thought I just love the sporting aspect of Kenny McPeek and everybody running Torpedo and in the Travers. I mean, they really handled her well. They tried it once. She almost pulled it off. As he said in the story, any other year. And he did kind of feel that way. And I thought they managed her really well. They didn't, I think especially with a filly or mare trying to take on the boys, you really can't go to that well very often. They tried it once when she was absolutely at her best, and I thought they managed her really well. I was impressed by that, and now she gets a break and comes back. Fierceness, the same thing. I mean, I kind of wrote in the story, Fierceness won the race, Torpedo Anna made the race, and both of them made the race. I mean, he ran great, she ran great. I mean, that was just one of the great moments of Saratoga. When you stand there and watch that race, it's like, I mean, it was up there with Rachel Alexander and the Woodward and a few others, of those that, you're there for. Even Holy Bull, I'll give you a shout out to Holy Bull.
Cause for concern,
yeah,
as Tom Durkin said.
That's Eclipse worthy, right?
Yeah, how many brilliant lines did Tom Durkin have over his career?
Oh man, guy was so good, right? I mean, there's nobody better. He was, he was great to listen to.
Yep. Yeah, I miss Tom Durkin. There are so many great announcers out there, but Tom was always my favorite. I grew up listening to him, watching the replay show with Harvey Pack, John Embriel every night. I think John Preachy was part of that show. And I would tape it. Remember the VHS tapes? I would tape it.
Yeah, exactly.
If I wasn't going to be home to see it, and I would watch it when I got home later. But I didn't miss one. And a big reason, I loved Harvey Pack, but the other reason I would watch that was because of Tom Durkin and his calls. And just really cool.
No, it's great stuff. Those great memories. Those things never leave. You just think back to those moments, and I think the 2024 Travers will go down as one of those races. I was just glad I was there, honored to be there. That's for sure.
Sean, I couldn't be happier for you, brother. Congratulations again. Really appreciate you joining me this morning, and always fun to catch up. Keep it rolling. Let's go for 3 in a row in 2025, and let's see if we can pull off an Eagles-Steelers Super Bowl.
Man, that'd be good. I'd like that. We'll go at it. Now, thanks for the time as always. And I just want to say that I think all of us are thinking about everybody in California. I don't know if you've touched upon it. I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
But I just want everybody to know that, I'm thinking, we're thinking about everybody out there, and that is not lost in our minds at this time for sure.
Yeah, amen to that, brother. Appreciate the visit, bud. Congratulations.
Thanks very much. Thank you so much.
All right, the dreamy one, Sean Clancy, with me here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Again, at Peace, you can go to his website, thisishorseracing.com. 2 for the Show is the name of it. Really well done looking back on the Travers of 2024. Time now for your Legends of the Turf segment, followed by a short commercial break. Then when I return, you're going to hear from trainer Danny Gargan, who is going to talk about Dornoch, one of the Eclipse Award finalists for 3-year-old male, but he's also going to talk about Rookie Card, who goes in the Pasco today. Maybe he has another Dornoch on his hands. We'll find out. That's coming up next, right after your Legends of the Turf.
This is the story of an amazing thoroughbred who indisputably left his hoofprints firmly embedded in the documented annals of the American turf. He was iron-legged, stout-hearted, and spelled courage with a capital C. When he passed away at the age of 21 on June 24, 1962 at Hagyard Farm near Lexington, Kentucky, where he'd stood at stud for his owners, the Bieber Jacobs stables, a racing legend had gone his way. He was the son of equestrian out of Stopwatch by On Watch, was bred by the venerable trainer Max Hirsch, and was owned for a time by King Ranch. In 7 years of racing from 1943 through 1949, he won 35 races and earned $918,485 for owner Mrs. Ethel D. Jacobs, and was the world's all-time leading money winner until supplanted by Citation in 1950. In the span of those unforgettable 7 racing seasons, the durable veteran started 131 times, and in addition to the aforementioned 35 wins, he had 35 seconds and 28 thirds in the money 96 times out of 131 starts, most of those being in the country's leading handicap or stakes races. At the age of 2, he had 3 starts in a maiden race and 2 nondescript claiming events, all those while racing in the spangles of the King Ranch, for whom he earned nary a nickel and never finished better than 7th. An arguably forgettable start in racing for sure. On June 2, 1943 at Belmont Park in his 3rd start, he was haltered by trainer Hirsch Jacobs for $1,500. Jacobs had claimed him for his wife. In the balance of that juvenile season, he won 4 minor races while earning a composite $16,000. Out of 28 starts as a 2-year-old, his biggest win was on November 10th in the Republic of Peru Handicap at Jamaica, for which he earned a paltry $3,440. He started in 10 claiming races that year in the colors of the Jacobs stable. At the age of 3, he started 29 times, won 3 and placed 15 times, while earning slightly over $36,000. By this time, he had graduated from the claiming ranks and had won the Bolingbroke Handicap at Jamaica, but his best efforts were seconds in the Romer Handicap and the Wood Memorial. At 4, this unlikely budding star began to bloom with 9 wins in 19 starts, earning $225,000. At the age of 5, he won 8 of 20 starts and earned nearly $239,000. At 6, he was 7 for 19, banking nearly $300,000. At 7, he won 4 of 11 while earning $95,000. And in his final year of racing at the age of 8, he started 5 times and had a 2 2/3, picking up about $7,000. When he reached the handicap age of 4, he shunned neither distance nor weight. In that year of 1945, the last time the Chicago Cubs were in the World Series, by the way, he won, amongst others, the Saratoga Cup at 1 3/4 miles while toting 126 pounds, and the Pimlico Cup Handicap at 2.5 miles while packing 128 pounds. In succeeding years, he carried up to 134 pounds and over 126 pounds 18 times. Among his wins were in the Rancocas, Greylag, Brooklyn, Butler, Continental, Saratoga Cup, Westchester Handicap, Riggs Handicap, Whitney, Edgemere, Manhattan, New York, and Gallon Fox Handicaps, the Metropolitan, Questionnaire, Massachusetts, Sussex, and Aqueduct Handicaps, and the Belmont Gold Cup. Racing analysts no doubt point to his victory in the Gold Cup at the age of 6 when he stormed from behind to whip Natchez, Armed, Assault, Phalanx, Endeavor, and Ensueño as his single greatest win. He stood at stud in Kentucky for a few years and in California with excellent success. This absolutely remarkable legend of the turf, a true darling of the racing public, who graduated from the ignominious bottom rung of the claiming ladder to unparalleled greatness, was none other than Stymie.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A 2-time Grade 1 winner at Saratoga with nearly $2.5 million in earnings and one of the best sons of Super Sire Gunrunner.
And it is Gunite, and he's going to win the 117th running of the hopeful.
Gunite is maintaining the lead, and he will defeat Elite Power in the Forgo.
Gunite posted 9 triple-digit buyers, won 9 races, and hit the board in 19 of 21 starts. Precocious, fast, durable, and tough. Call the team at Ashford today to book your mare.
The championship meet is back at Gulfstream Park. Come to Hallandale Beach and experience the best in live racing action Thursday through Sunday, plus an expanded event schedule. Join us trackside at the Carousel Club or head upstairs to 10 Palms Restaurant with an elevated view of the track. Enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete all winter long. For stake schedules, reservations, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And it's Mindframe and Dornick head-in-head with a furlong left to go. Sierra Leone is closing ground. It's Dornick hugging the rail. Mindframe a little erratic, but he's still right there with Dornick in an absolute thriller. Dornick and Mindframe, it will be Dornick and Luis Saez to win the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
It's Mindframe confidently handled, switches leads, and gets the cue to go. Dornock is trying hard, but he's left behind in second, fighting back from the inside. Mindframe, Dornock coming back. They're at it again. The two Belmont first and second place finishers pressured. 1-2, and Dornoch stubborn. Dornoch wins the Haskell.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you right up until 11 a.m. Eastern. That was Frank Miramati and Matt Dinnerman, respectively, with the calls of the Belmont Stakes and the Haskell, a pair of Grade 1s. To the credit of Dornoch last year, and it was a tremendous year for the Danny Gargan trainee. Dornoch, one of the finalists for Eclipse Award, 3-year-old male. And you can't blame anybody who votes his direction after the campaign that he had. And Danny is with me now here on HRN. Danny, good morning.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think? He's up against Sierra Leone. He's up against Fierceness. But Dornoch has some serious credentials after those big wins last year. What do you think? You think he's the one?
Well, you hope and pray. But, I thought, the way the track played in California, it helped Fierceness, or cost Fierceness the race. They went so fast early, and I thought the way he ran in the Breeders' Cup Classic, even though he lost, was probably one of the best races he ran all year. That was pretty amazing how he got to hang on after going that quick. So it'll probably, I think it should be Fierceness and then us, but we'll have to see. We beat Sierra Leone a couple times, and he beat us a couple times. But I'd have to say, it's a toss in the air. All of them have the same credentials. All of them won 2 Grade 1s. Everybody won a Grade 2, and it's just cool to be a part of it. Just to be nominated is special.
What is your favorite Dornoch memory?
I mean, the Belmont, obviously. I mean, he's a special horse. It's hard, his races when he, are so impressive the way he fought back and won. His Remsen was an amazing race. He hit the rail, stopped, and then got restarted. I mean, he got passed by a length and come back on and won the race. That was an impressive. He got passed in the Belmont. He got passed in the Haskell twice. I mean, it's hard to explain how amazing it is to have a horse that would fight back and win a race like that and lay it all on the line. He's just such a gutsy, beautiful animal.
Yeah, it's great to hear you say that because it makes my assessment of Dornoch correct. From the outside looking in, I loved his fight. I loved his tenacity, and I described him a couple of times, and I know you and I talked a few times last year, as a brawler, right? And if you hook Dornoch in the stretch, you better be ready for a fight because he wasn't backing down.
No, I mean it's not like he did. He did it 3-4 times. So it's not like he did it once. He was
right.
He'd wait on horses to get there and then fight them. I mean that was the thing. But when he was good on his day, he was probably better, if not than anybody on his. When he was that day that he was good, he was as good as anybody in horse racing. So it's just fun to be able to share that, and it's going to be fun to watch him be a stallion because if he can, he's a well-bred horse and he's big and pretty, and if he throws any of that heart, he's going to have some beautiful babies, and it'll be fun to watch how that part of his life goes.
Yeah, there's that saying in sports that says you can't teach heart, and it's the same for racehorses. What's it like when you have a horse, Danny, that has this much heart? Does it make your job a little easier?
Well, he fought through some issues and stuff. And, it was never easy to train him. He's a big, strong horse. And, he had feet problems and some things. But, you can't, it just made it fun to have a horse that you could have. I was fully confident in him his whole life. As a 2-year-old, you could see it training. You could see how well he wanted to do everything. So, he's special. And we just hope one day we get another one like him.
I really enjoy asking trainers this next question when they have a great horse come through their barn like you did with Dornoch. Tell me about your favorite piece of Dornoch memorabilia that you still have around.
There's so much. I mean, there was so many amazing pictures because, he was such a fan. He loved the camera and the people, There's just a million pictures. I have the Belmont Trophy and the Haskell Trophy.
Oh, that's cool.
I got the owners gave me the big one. So
wow.
That's a pretty awesome thing, the Haskell Trophy in Belmont. the owner's trophy. It's not like the trainers and the jockeys get a smaller one, but I actually have the bigger trophy, and those are pretty special to have sitting around.
Where do you have those displayed?
Right now they're in New York, but we're down in Florida. But it's fun to have them there when people come over and stuff.
You don't take them with you when you travel and have them in the barn when people come by?
They're shockingly big.
I think if I was ever to train a horse that won the Belmont and let alone the Haskell right afterwards, I think I'd have those trophies as the first thing you see when you walk into my house.
Well, we have the Haskell trainer trophy sitting on the desk here at Gulfstream or Palmettos. So
cool.
I've got the trainers trophies sitting here, but it's just one of those things I just wish everybody. There's a lot of trainers that train for years and years and years that we've been blessed that we've had some really nice horses over the years, and you just kind of wish everybody could get that ride once.
Let's fast forward to this afternoon. You have another good 3-year-old in your barn in rookie card. Not quite door knock level, but who knows? Maybe he gets there one day. Tell me about rookie card and what you're seeing from him.
I mean, he actually ran better than Dornock did first time out. He ran bigger numbers, and it took Dornock 3 races to break his maiden. We haven't stretched his coat out yet because of his pedigree, but we'll see how he runs the 7/8 today, and he's doing really well. He's a talented horse. We're excited to get him started and see where he can lead us. If he can go 2 turns, it'll be fun. If not, he'll be a nice, horse that can, get a mile or 7/8 all year. But he's a very talented horse, and kind of, like I said, it took Dornock 3 races to put it all together, and then he broke his maiden impressive at Keeneland. This colt was real impressive last time, and he's been running against some really good horses. I think Treaty and Rome was 3rd last time. That Tip Top Tommy came back with 2nd in the Champagne that beat him first time out. So, and this is a good race. Owen Almighty's a Derby contender, and he's a really, really good horse. So we'll see how this pans out, and hopefully we can have a big race out of him and start thinking bigger down the road.
Yeah, you talk about stretching out, going 2 turns. Danny, as the trainer, what things does a horse show you, and what things are you looking for maybe in the mornings or in his races in the afternoon that let you know, okay, I think he can handle more ground? What do they show you?
Well, pedigree does most of that.
Okay.
We haven't stretched him out, so he's a horse that we want to see. We ran him 6.5, but he hit the gate that day and kind of had to rush up. And I thought, he went way too fast early and got nailed at the wire. He's got to turn a foot, so we need him to learn to relax and settle a little more. And hopefully today he breaks, sits right there, and unfortunate there's not a ton of speed in this race, so I think he's probably going to be close to it, if not on the lead. So I'd like to see him sit and relax and not be using himself so much early. And if he could draw away at the end of the race, or keep running with Owen Almighty to show that he can get the distance, we'll look for something further down the road. If not, there's always, I think, the Swells, the 7/8, and here at Gulfstream, and there's a lot in the Bay Shore in those races. So there's a lot of options, the Pat Day Mile. So we'll have to see how he comes out, what he does here, and what his future has for him. And believe me, if he could get 2 turns, and we could have another 2-turn horse. Last year we were lucky and had 2 in the Derby, and a couple good Magic colts. So there's always that chance. He's talented.
Can you teach a horse to relax in the mornings, or is that something that can only be done in the afternoons when they're racing?
I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to try to get him to relax. I mean, he's not crazy aggressive. He's not a super strong horse. He's a lot easier to train than Dornock. He's and horses like that. So we're just hoping maturity and time helps him get more distance. And he's doing really well. And we'll find out this afternoon how well he's doing. And like I said, there's a good horse in there that's probably on the Derby trail. And if we can run with him and stay at that level, it'll be fun to have a horse, be back battling those things again this year.
Other than Rookie Card, Danny, any other 3-year-olds in the barn that we should keep an eye on as we make our way toward that first Saturday in May?
No, he's the only colt we have that we think is that, that kind of horse this year. And I think it's about, we didn't get a lot of horses bought. This year's going to be our light year. And then we have a lot of 2-year-olds coming this year. So hopefully next year we can be real strong.
Well, Danny, all the best, my man. Good luck in the Pasco. Let's see if we can get Rookie Card to prove he deserves to be on the Derby Trail. And best of luck with those Eclipse Awards in Dornoch.
Oh, thanks for having us.
All right. Danny Gargan here on HRRN. That's one thing I enjoy about talking with Danny Gargan here on the show is that he shoots you straight, right? He's going to tell you exactly the way it is, and he's not sugarcoating it with Rookie Card. He's saying, okay, his pedigree limits him a little bit on distances. At least that's the way it looks. Let's find out today if he can take the next step and go 7/8 of a mile after he's been running 6 furlongs. He'll get 1 more furlong today. And then we'll kind of make a determination if he passes this test, if they should bring him back. Who knows? Maybe the Tampa Bay Derby is a race that they could point for. If he's going to stay at Tampa, they could bring him to the Fountain of Youth. Whatever the case might be, we'll see. But that's one thing I enjoy is that, he's completely honest. He is not looking at Rookie Card and saying, oh, yeah, he's a definite Derby horse. He's going to find out today. And you heard him talk about Owen Almighty. If that's his measuring stick today, can he run with him and then move on from there? We'll find out. That post time, by the way, for that Pasco, it's early. It's race number 5 today. Race number 4, excuse me. Race number 4 at Tampa Bay Downs, 1:58 Eastern. 1:58 Eastern is post time for the Pasco Stakes and that next stepping stone along the road to Louisville and the Kentucky Derby. When I come back, it's time for this week's edition of Calling All 3-Year-Olds presented by Spendthrift. And I'll tell you what's ahead in Hour 2 and Hour 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Hi, Tony.
Hey, Matthew.
There's a reason why Tony's Steaks and Seafood is my favorite restaurant. It's because I want to feel part of the family. Isn't that right, Tony?
That's right. There's a saying on the wall that I truly believe in. There's always room for one more at our table. We just want you to be part of our family.
And believe me, you will be. It's Tony's Steaks and Seafood right across from Triangle Park. Visit them at Tony'sSteaksandSeafood.com.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment. Email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show. Sirius 162, XM 207, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
They're all in line. And they're off.
Spendthrift Farm presents Calling All 3-Year-Olds with Bobby Neuman.
There were 4 important stakes for the 3-year-olds last weekend. Let's start with the Jerome at Aqueduct, where Cyclone State easily went wire to wire. He had a short lead early and extended it all the way to 8 lengths in the stretch before cruising to a 3.5-length score and earning 10 Kentucky Derby points. His next options include the Saudi Derby, Gotham, or Fountain of Youth Stakes. At Oaklawn Park, Cole Battle followed up his win in Remington Park's Springboard Mile with a gritty wire-to-wire score in the Smarty Jones, gamely turning back the challenges of Mo Quality and Kale's Angel. He also earned 10 points with the win and will likely stay at Oaklawn Park, but skip the Southwest Stakes in favor of Waiting for the Rebel on February 22nd. At Santa Anita, Bob Baffert's highly regarded Barnes remained undefeated with a 5.5-length score in the Grade 2 San Vicente. The son of Into Mischief is the current favorite for this year's Kentucky Derby, despite not having any qualifying points yet. And finally, Gulfstream Park featured the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. Jockey Luis Saez sent favorite Guns Loaded right to the lead, and he never looked back, holding on to win by a diminishing neck over Treaty of Rome. Trainer Jose D'Angelo said the winner will point next for the Grade 3 Holy Bull at Gulfstream on February 1st. No stakes on the Derby Trail this week, but next week the points double with the LeCompte at Fairgrounds. I'll be back with this week's top 5 list right after this word from Spendthrift.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. Fast horse, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. He could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Multiple Grade 1 winner Cyberknife, standing at Spendthrift.
This week's top 5 list of Derby contenders looks like this. Number 5, Rodriguez. Up-and-comer by Authentic looked great getting his maiden win at Santa Anita last weekend. Number 4, Chancer McPatrick. The Champagne winner ran a dull one in the Breeders' Cup. He's capable of much better, but might be pace-dependent. Number 3, East Avenue. Lost all chance with a poor start in the Breeders' Cup. That race is a complete toss-out. He's pointing to the Grade 2 Risen Star at Fairgrounds on February 15th. Number 2 is Sovereignty. The son of Into Mischief looked fantastic, breaking his maiden versus Stakes Company. There's no reason he can't continue to move forward. And number 1 is Barnes. The pricey Baffert trainee was very green but still won his debut, then looked like a pro in the Grade 2 San Vicente. Next stop, 2 turns somewhere. That's your Calling All 3-Year-Olds segment presented by Spendthrift, the Breeders' Farm.
Yeah, Barnes did look good last weekend at the Great Race Place. And don't forget, the tradition continues with 90 years of running at the Great Race Place, Santa Anita. This Saturday, today, is Cal Cup Day with 11 big races featuring 5 Calbred stakes. First post, by the way, set for 11:30 a.m. Now, I mentioned earlier in the show, the plan is to race this afternoon, assuming that the air quality at Santa Anita is safe and acceptable. Those decisions still forthcoming. However, I will pass along an update later in the show. But if they do run, keep an eye on some of those new wagers for the Classic meet, which include a $2 pick 6 on the last 6 races of the day, and the following wagers, which all offer player-friendly 15% takeout. You have a $3 all-turf pick 3, $3 late pick 3, a $5 late double, and then the coast-to-coast pick 5 with Santa Anita and Gulfstream sequences every Saturday and Sunday. Plus, you can play in Santa Anita's Showviver contest. You select one horse each race day to compete for $10,000 in prize money in multiple categories, and all of this information available at santaanita.com. And again, our thoughts and our prayers are with everybody in Southern California battling those wildfires, and certainly everyone at Santa Anita who has been dealing with that over the past week or so. It has been very, very challenging, and we are thinking of you. And I'll pass along an update with more information as we move throughout the second and third hour of the show. Hour 2 going to begin in just a couple of moments. Sue Finley from the Thoroughbred Daily News will join me to talk about her Eclipse Award-winning piece in the multimedia category. Frank Taylor set to join me at 9:20 to talk about his stable recovery program, which is going to be honored with the special Eclipse Award for service to the thoroughbred industry, and it is an awesome choice for that particular award. And again, Frank Miramati joined Bobby Neuman yesterday on our Betting with Bobby program, and they talked about the situation in Santa Anita. They also talked about a lot of the racing side of things there too. So that conversation, I'm going to bring it your way right around 9:40 here this morning. 10 o'clock Eastern, the TwinSpires Triple Play with Kevin Kilroy. Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History still to come, as is I Ask, They Answer with Dale and Tim. One other reminder, so many of you probably tuned in right now getting ready for the January sale at Keeneland. Listen, if you are in Lexington or you're planning to be there throughout the sale, head over to Tony's in downtown Lexington. I've been talking about Tony's for years on this program. It is by far 100% my favorite steak anywhere. And we have traveled all over the country and all over the world with HRRN. And I can tell you that Tony's steaks are unparalleled. You will love it. So give them a call. It's Tony's of Lexington. They're downtown on Main Street, right kind of behind where Rupp Arena is. You will love it. They have seafood too, but I'm telling you, their steaks, I'm not a seafood guy. I'm a steak guy. And that food at Tony's is incredible. The atmosphere is incredible. And they'll tell you there's always room for one more at our table. So give them a call. Make your reservations. Tell them the Baron sent you in. And I think you're really going to enjoy your experience at Tony's of Lexington. All right, hour 2 kicking off momentarily right after this 10-second pause for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
1 hour down, 2 to go here on this edition of the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, happy to have you along for the ride with me here this morning. Spending a lot of time talking about the Eclipse Awards here this morning, and I got a chance to visit with Eclipse Award winner Sean Clancy from the Saratoga Special in the first hour of the program. Also spent some time talking racing with Danny Gargan. We talked about Dornoch being one of the finalists in the 3-year-old male category, along with Sierra Leone and Fierceness. Danny mentioned how he's not sure Dornoch is going to be the one that walks away with the top prize, but he had one hell of a campaign in 2024, and Danny was nice enough to do that and then to look ahead to rookie card in today's Pasco. If you missed any portion of the first hour of the program, head back to our website, horseracingradio.net. After I finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern, you can listen not only to the podcast of this show, but all of our shows we bring your way throughout the week and throughout the year. They're all available on our website and on your favorite podcast platform. So however you access your podcasts, type in Horse Racing Radio Network and follow along throughout the year. I'm asking you the question, considering I'm spending a lot of time talking about the Eclipse Awards here this morning. I threw out the poll question, and so many of you taking time to vote on our X page at HRRN and on our Facebook page, Horse Racing Radio Network. I'm asking you, with Cogburn being a finalist for Champion Male Sprinter, should there be an Eclipse Award for Champion Turf Sprinter? And so far, 61% of you are in favor of doing that. Only 39% saying, nah, I don't think so. So keep the votes coming on our social media pages. If you don't do social media, I get it. Email the show, Mike at horseracingradio.net, and let me know if you think there should be another Eclipse Award category for Champion Turf Sprinter. Well, Sue Finley's going to be in South Florida in just about 12 days because she is going to be accepting the Eclipse Award, the Media Award in the multimedia category for a piece that she put together this past year on the TDN After saving 2 horses from a kill pen, John Stewart, aims to do more to end slaughter. It's a wonderful story. It's an incredible cause that Sue is very passionate about, and she joins me now here on HRRN. Sue, good morning and congratulations.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Mike, for having me.
How special is it? I know you're very passionate about this cause, this issue, and so many people in the sport are. How special is it to have a story about this particular issue win an Eclipse Award?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's special to win an Eclipse Award anyway, but for it to be about something that I care so much about and I've put so much, mental energy into is extra special, particularly because it gets more people talking about it. That was John Stewart's point in rescuing these 2 horses and talking about it, and it's just gratifying that, we're talking about it all over again, which we really need to do.
For people that haven't seen the story yet, it appeared in the Thoroughbred Daily News. You can go to thoroughbreddailynews.com and type in after saving 2 horses from a kill pen. It'll pull right up for you. And Sue, if there's an easier way to do it, let me know. But let's focus on the story itself. Tell me about how the entire story came together.
So John Stewart or someone in his organization saw on social media that there were horses in a kill pen in Louisiana who were going to be shipped to slaughter in Mexico. So for those of you who aren't aware of how the process works, there are these sort of low-level auctions all across the country. And typically horses who fail to bring a bid above which a slaughter buyer would pay for them, which is typically around $500, sometimes up to $750, depending upon the state of the market, what are called kill buyers tend to buy them. And you'll see, if you look through the results of these sales, you can see there's, one person who's bought 30 horses at this level or 20 horses at this level. They put them all together into one pen before they're shipped across the border to Mexico to be slaughtered. And so that's what they call kill pens. So John Stewart saw that these 2 racehorses were in there. Typically advocacy groups go and, look through these pens, see which ones are racehorses, and try to appeal to people to save them, which has its pluses and minuses, to be honest. But he saw these 2 horses were in there. He bought them. He shipped them up to Resolute Farm. And when I saw on social media that he had done that, I asked him, if when the horses got back to the farm, if I could come and see them and do a story about this. And it turns out he has other horses on the farm. He's got a Tennessee walking horse. He's got a saddlebred. He has a mini, all of whom are sort of together on the farm in a non-racing barn. So I went out, talked to him about it, and it turns out he's doing a lot of work on the issue, sort of behind the scenes that, he's not really talking publicly about right now, but that he plans to reveal at a later date. So that's how the story came about.
And you mentioned in the story that this is the fate of 20,000 American horses every year. And you said many of those are thoroughbred racehorses. That sounds like an incredibly high number to me.
Yeah, believe it or not, as recently as 20 years ago, the number was 175 to 200,000 horses being slaughtered every year in America. And what's happened is, by omission, we've made it illegal now. And what I mean is, by omission, in the United States, animals who are slaughtered need to be inspected by USDA inspectors. And several years ago, lobbyists got a rider attached to the Farm Bill, which said that the USDA would no longer fund inspections of these horses. So because you can't inspect the horses, you can't slaughter them. That effectively ended it in America. But what happens now is horses are transported across the border to Mexico. And there's a bill called the SAFE Act that lobbyists are trying to pass, which would prohibit that practice as well.
Tell me about the 2 horses that John rescued, Drive for Fun and My Little Dude.
So the horses was interesting. He said that when they arrived at the farm, they're like I said, in a beautiful barn, turned out into massive fields every day. John Stewart bought the old Shadwell property. So it's a magnificent property. And he said, the sad thing about it was when he first got them, he'd go up to the fence, or anyone would go up to the fence, and, all the other horses come to you. They know it's time to go in, or it's time to get a carrot, or it's time for dinner, or whatever. And these horses were so traumatized by what they had been through that they wouldn't. And now he's worked with them all this time. The staff has worked with them. And now when you walk over to the fence, they come right up to you. They're very comfortable around people, very sweet horses. And so it was just, it's really moving to go there and see how healthy and happy they look. They've gained hundreds of pounds, but like so many horses at that end of the market, when they're not useful to their owners anymore, they're discarded, and that's what happened to them. They made their last starts at Evangeline Downs, and within a couple of weeks, they were in a kill pen.
Sue, how many? By the way, visiting with Sue Finley of the Thoroughbred Daily News. Her Eclipse Award-winning piece is available for you to view. It's really well done. How many organizations do we have in the sport today that are working to prevent these types of things from happening?
It's a two-part question, really. Obviously, there are more rescues now than there have ever been. They're better funded than they've ever been, but that still falls far, far short of the funding that's needed. How many organizations are working to end this? I mean, that's a harder question because it can only be done legislatively. Nobody's going to, talk people into not sending their horses to slaughter anymore. And so the SAFE Act has to be passed in order for it to happen. And the sad thing is that it's not really being championed by anyone. The people who are working to pass it are really looking for someone to step up and fund this in order to get this done, because it's the only way that it's going to happen. There are a lot of other animal organizations who are opposed to the passage of the SAFE Act because they argue the slippery slope reasoning, right? If we stop slaughtering horses today, who's to say that cattle won't be tomorrow? And so they are trying to argue that if this SAFE Act is passed, there'll be horses roaming the streets, looking for homes, that'll create a huge neglect problem, which has proven to not be true at all. Like I said, as recently as 20 years ago, there were 175,000 horses slaughtered a year. Now there are 20,000 horses slaughtered. Nobody has seen an increase in abuse and neglect cases. In fact, they've gone down.
So when did you first become passionate about bringing this issue to light?
I remember the day, actually. It was a day in the fall at Belmont Park in 1983. I was a huge racing fan. I was a senior at NYU at the time and used to go out to Belmont Park on the weekends with my family. And the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation had its initial fundraising day. So the TRF was started by an advertising executive in New York City named Monique Kohler, who happened to be at the races one day and asked somebody what happens to the horses when they're done racing. And nobody really had a good answer except for the small minority that go into the breeding pool. And so she started looking into it, discovered that a lot of them went to slaughter, and decided to start an organization that would not only give those horses a permanent home, but would also provide a meaningful transition back into life for prisoners at a facility in New York, the Walkill Correctional Facility, and it's still operational, and now the TRF has farms all over the country. So I happened to be there on that day, read some of the literature. They had Kelso and Forgo, two old geldings, come out and parade. They had horses walking around the stands with feed bags around their neck to make money about it, and I started thinking a lot about it then. I went to work at Belmont later that fall, as it turns out, and a few years later ended up joining the board of the TRF, where I was the first vice president for 12 years.
Wow.
So really, since I was 21 years old, I've thought a lot about it.
If there are people listening right now and they're going to go back and they're going to watch the video and read your story on the Thoroughbred Daily News, and they want to get involved with helping some way. You said real change with this issue can only be done legislatively. How can people get involved in helping?
People can write to their congressman and advocate for passage of the SAFE Act. People can donate to any one of the incredible rescues that the horse racing industry has set up. And people can start talking about it and demanding change like Jon Stewart is doing. And, he advocates for several different things in my article, from breeder responsibility to owner responsibility. But we know that that's not enough. There are so few problems in life that can be solved simply with money, right? You might not be able to cure cancer. You might not be able to, change a lot of things. This is a problem that can be solved through money. Every horse, every thoroughbred racehorse deserves a home. And estimates are, Mike Rapoli and Pat Cummings are doing a lot of work on this. Estimates are that it takes about $20 million a year. Right now, I think the TAA raises and grants about $4 million. So we're falling really far short of that. And there has to be a systematic fundraising mechanism in the industry, a mandatory touch point funding mechanism where every transaction with the horse, from every ad that the TDN sells to every horse that's sold at an auction, it generates something that goes toward rescue. There's not another sports organization in the world that doesn't think about retirement when they're set up, except for thoroughbred racing, and it has to change.
Really well said. Sue Finley from the Thoroughbred Daily News. Again, her article is up on the website. You can go back and read it. After saving 2 horses from a kill pen, Stewart aims to do more to end slaughter. It was on July 15th of last year that story appeared. Sue, really appreciate the visit. Keep up the wonderful work with not just this issue, but the Thoroughbred Daily News and all the efforts you make to put out the stories and to bring issues to light and to present the news to the industry. I really appreciate all your efforts.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yep, congratulations again. Sue Finley here on HRRN. When I come back, I'm going to continue to talk about the Eclipse Awards, this time with Frank Taylor. Frank heads up the Stable Recovery Program along with CEO Christian Kunzler. Also have the TaylorMade School of Horsemanship. They are not only changing lives, they are saving lives. And Frank will tell you all about that when I return. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
Love Cervette at the rail. Cervette's on the outside. Nitrogen between. Here's the wire. Nitrogen. Nitrogen with some nitrous late kicks there. She ran down the embattled horses to win it.
Nitrogen, daughter of Darley stallion Medaglia d'Oro, runs him down in the listed Ginger Brew Stakes at Gulfstream on January 4th. And that exciting finish makes Nitrogen your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Already twice Grade 1 placed, including her most recent third in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf in November, Medaglia d'Oro's daughter Nitrogen was sent off the favorite and didn't disappoint in her first career stakes win. Only Into Mischief, and Not This Time, had more graded juveniles last year than Medaglia d'Oro. Learn more about Medaglia d'Oro and all the Darley Stallions by visiting DarleyAmerica.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Warlander still has 6 to make up. They turn for home. They've all got to catch Clock Tower, and here's Cavallo Bay, and Golden Afternoon now kicks in. Cavallo Bay, Golden Afternoon, Clock Tower fighting onto the inside. Warlander is still 4th. Cavallo Bay far outside, Clock Tower inside, Golden Afternoon between that pair, Golden Afternoon, Clock Tower, here's Minaret Station for a huge upset. Minaret Station, 38-1, rallying for Christian Torres.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you on this Saturday morning. That was Kurt Becker with the call of the Castle and Key Bourbon Stakes at Keeneland last year. A huge win for Minaret Station and trainer Will Walden. And Will has been on this program many times, and he is very open about his struggles with addiction. And he's also very quick to point out that if it were not for a program like the Stable Recovery Program and the tailor-made School of Horsemanship that is put together by Frank Taylor and CEO Christian Kunzler, there's a good chance that he wouldn't be where he is today, and who knows where he would be. And it's an organization that is not only changing lives, but as I said, they are saving lives, and they are going to be honored with a special Eclipse Award for service to the thoroughbred industry. And I can't think of a better choice. Frank Taylor is the man who heads up the entire operation. He's with me now here on HRN. Frank, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mike. How you doing?
Doing great. Congratulations, brother, and congratulations on the success of this program.
Well, it's a team award. It takes a lot of people to put this together, and it's just been a great ride. It's been unbelievable. The idea started a little over 5 years ago, and it's just gotten a little better as we go. First of all, we just started that School of Horsemanship to train the guys, and we were getting the people from the shepherd's house where they're doing the housing and the rehab and therapy and stuff. And then we about 2.5 years ago got Christian Counselor to come on, and we wanted to start our own sober living housing and everything, so we had complete control. And he came up with the name Stable Recovery, which was a really good name for it, and it's just been taken off really strong since then. We've got 60 men in housing now, and we've graduated 100 guys from the School of Horsemanship, and we just got a lot of people working in the industry, and it's the main thing is saving these guys' lives and getting them sober and successful, and it's just amazing how things have worked. It's really effective, and we have a really high strike rate of success comparative to other programs, and a lot of it I think has to do with just being exposed to a horse. The horse makes it's a special sauce in the program. It's so healing for these guys, and so it's just been a great ride, and things are going really well.
Frank, how does the program work?
So we have Christian Counselor runs everything, and he's very good. He's recovering himself just as I am. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and so he understands these guys, and he knows how to hold them accountable, and so there's a long waiting list to get into the program, and Christian makes a decision on who gets in. And a lot of the way we do is you can't help these guys unless they're ready, and some of them think they're ready and they come in and they're not, and they go back out. Then a lot of times they come back, but one very simple method we use is when somebody's wanting to get in, we just tell them to call back every day until we get a spot. And the guys that call back consistently and regularly, that's kind of a test. If they do that, they're usually really wanting it. So they come into the program, they're drug tested, they enter basically a family atmosphere. Everybody in the program knows that the most important guy in the room is the guy that just got there. And so everybody reaches out and really tries to support that person and get them through those first few days, because that's when you normally lose them. Is if they're going to go back out, it's usually in the first week or two. So we do that, and their daily routine's tough. They got to be up by 5 o'clock every morning. They got to be to an AA meeting at 6. They got to be to work to 7. They go work from 7 to 4, and then they come back and they eat dinner together, and then they go to another AA meeting, or we have a speaker come into the house that night. So they have a very rigid, strict program, and they're held very accountable. We require maximum effort for them in their sobriety and their work. and it just works. It's really going great.
Frank, I want to read this post that Will Walden, who is a graduate of the program, I want to read his post that he put out there on social media yesterday. He said, "Many sleepless and hopeless nights wondering if I could ever get sober, wondering if I would ever get the opportunity to train racehorses. A little over 4 years ago," Frank Taylor, that's you, said, "You take care of A, and I'll take care of B. Forever indebted to Frank and Christian, heroes to so many men." What's it mean to hear those words?
Well, it's so rewarding to see these guys get successful and sober, and Will is just a special story, and we're very proud of him. And when Will actually graduated from the Shepherd's House, and we had Mike Lowry and Tyler Maxwell were in there with him, but they were working at TaylorMade. So at the time, Will came to me and said, "We want to start training horses, and we need you to find somebody to buy us 10 horses to train." So I said, "Well, it's not an easy task to find 3 heroin addicts, fresh heroin addicts in recovery, somebody to buy them 10 horses." So anyway, I took a shot, and I said, "Well, I'll buy them," and I talked my wife into it. And we decided we were going to buy 10 of them for $20,000 a piece, and we went out to the sale, and we ended up buying them for $40,000 a piece. So we had 400 in it, and then we did a budget on what it's going to cost a year, and that was 400. So it's to take care of them, and then so it was 800. So my wife was kind of getting a little worried about that. So I ended up selling off a quarter to some like-minded guys that pitched in and helped me with it. But it was just crazy. Those guys broke those horses. They trained them. All of those guys stayed sober, and they've moved on in their careers. Will's a top trainer now, and Mike Lowry manages one of my divisions with 250 horses and 25 guys. He manages that. And Tyler Maxwell's one of the lead riders out at WinStar now. So it was a fun ride and crazy. We've been blessed, and I always say that we won the Dubai World Cup with Chrome, but actually when we won the first maiden race with Will and that crew, that meant more to me than the it was even better than the Dubai World Cup. It was just an amazing day when they won their first race.
Visiting with Frank Taylor, TaylorMade Farm, his stable recovery program, going to receive a special Eclipse Award coming up in 12 days in South Florida. And Frank, I told you in my message when I asked you to join me on the program, I can think of no better cause and no better person to receive this award. I think it's a wonderful choice. In the press release that was sent out to announce this, you had a quote. You said you went to your brothers, you told them about this idea, and said you wanted to try it. And after a lot of discussion, you decided on a 90-day trial period, and here we are 5 years later, and it's nothing but positive results. Could you ever imagine at that point we'd be sitting here today, you'd be receiving an Eclipse Award for this?
No, it's been crazy, but it's unbelievable. It's been like a very spiritual journey for me. It's just like I think we're doing the right thing. We're doing what God wants us to do, and when you collaborate and do what He's wanting you to do, amazing things happen. And there's just been one miracle after another. If you could be here on a daily basis and see firsthand what's happening, it's just mind-boggling. It's really grown. It's got 60 men in there, and they don't have to pay a thing to be in the program. And it's all these donors have stepped up and given us money. It's just been crazy, and we've had such great support from the industry. So I think it's got a very bright future, and it's changing and saving a lot of lives.
Yeah. What do you think the next 5 years are going to look like? Where does the program end up if we're talking about this in 2030?
Well, Dan Pride's the chairman of our board, and he does a great job, and he's just very wise and he's very disciplined, and I think one of our biggest things is we got to be careful not to grow too fast. I think the opportunity to grow huge is right there. but we got to make sure we continue to do a first-rate job with the guys, and that we put them first. And we got to produce. That's good. We got to produce grow the staff faster than we get the residents in. And so, who knows where it's going to go? I think in 5 years from now it could stay kind of where it's at, and it's putting 80 people graduating a year into the industry, or it could go. We could expand it and get a women's program. That's what we're planning on doing this coming year, and it could be it could be in 4 or 5 states, and someday it might even go international. I just think it works so well that and it helps on so many levels. It helps with the incarceration issue, the drug addiction, it reunites a lot of families. It puts dads back being dads again to their families. It helps with the homeless issue. It's just, there's so many levels that it helps with. So I think it's a very effective program, and I think it could grow and get really big in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, Frank, congratulations to you and to the team. How can people get more information on the program if they're looking to learn more?
Well, they can go to the Stable Recovery website, or they could call me or a Christian counselor. Just anything. We really want people to come visit the farm and see these guys and come and see Stable Recovery firsthand. We've got hundreds of visitors, and everybody that comes there, wants to be a part of the program and pitch in. So it's that's what I'd love to see, is more people come visit.
Congratulations, my friend. I appreciate the time here this morning. Keep up the wonderful work, Frank. We all owe you a debt of gratitude, and a wonderful choice for that Eclipse Award.
Well, it's a team award, and it took a lot of people to get it, and I'm just grateful to be recognized, and I think we got a really bright future. We're going to do some great things.
Yeah, keep it rolling. Frank Taylor, the Stable Recovery Program, really incredible choice for that award. Well done to the NTRA for selecting them. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. All right, when I come back, I told you that Frank Miramati took time to sit down with Bobby Neuman on our Betting with Bobby show yesterday. I'm going to bring you that interview. They touched on the conditions in Southern California, kind of an update there, and they also talked about the racing side of things. So you're going to hear from Santa Anita announcer Frank Miramati in the next segment. This is the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
When it's time to paint the fences and barns, think Farm Paint. At Farm Paint, you get the industry's best coatings and paints factory direct at low prices. Farm Paint is your source for quality paints, roof coatings, dustless arena footings, and more. You can purchase online or drop into a Farm Paint store near you with locations in Heart of Bluegrass Country at 700 Phillips Lane in Lexington, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, and Sandusky, Ohio. Buy factory direct and save at farmpaint.com. That's farmpaint.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
They take the turn and come for home, and here comes Hairless Eras going through down at the rail. Hairless Eras gets the lead as they come to the 8-fold. Chick or two trying to go with her. Then Golden Galaxy, Aroma Core. In the final 1/8 of a mile, it's Hairless Eras out there running strongly. Hairless Eras gonna win it to Aroma Core and Chick or two in a photo for second.
Well, we are all thinking of everyone in Southern California dealing with those horrific wildfires, certainly everyone at Santa Anita. Frank Miramati is the announcer at Santa Anita, and yesterday he took time to visit with Bobby Neuman on our Betting with Bobby show. And that call you just heard, Hairless Heiress winning the 1988 Las Ciénegas, was something that really caught Frank off guard, and I think you really enjoyed it. Here's that conversation with Bobby and Frank.
Pleased to head out west now and join track announcer Frank Miramati, who unfortunately got an unwanted day off today. Frank, really appreciate you taking the time. This is a weird time out there at Santa Anita in Southern California.
There's no question, Bobby. We never want days off, and there's been a lot of devastation throughout, and a lot of people have reached out, very kind people doing so, and it's been, I think the word surreal is overused. This one, this is a time where it was a fitting word. And before we go on with that, I got to tell you, I'm sure you don't know this, but that race that you just picked to open this segment was a Goosebump special. How about this? Hairless Heiress is the dam, or was the dam, if she's not alive anymore, of the winner of the first race I ever called in my life. Can you imagine that? That is insane that you would come up with that. Of all, I mean, I haven't heard her name in so long. That's unbelievable.
All right, so first of all, where was this first race you ever called?
It was at Hollywood Park in 1992, closing day, December 24th. They used to run on Christmas Eve. Trevor was on vacation. And anytime you're going to mention Trevor, the greatest of all time by many, many lengths. And the reason I say that is because he changed the game. He changed my love of horse racing, and his ability to read a race unmatched by anyone, no one even close. And so I love talking about Trevor and hearing him in his prime right there. But he was on vacation. I ended up I'm not going to bore your listeners with the long story of how it happened, but somehow, some way I convinced management to let me make my debut. They tested me in the press box, and the first race was a horse named Glowing Crown, trained by the legendary Jack Van Berg for John Franks, turning away a big favorite named Gold Digger's Dream for Ed Friendly. And, when you talk about life and looking back and memories, who would ever think that, I would be able to call my first race at one of my favorite places on earth, Hollywood Park, but that I would eventually eulogize the legend Jack Van Berg, because we had done an event together, and he told me, quote, in front of the crowd, when I die and they put me in a box, I want you to talk about me. And he followed up with me all the way until about 40 hours before he passed away to make sure I was there in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So lots of memories flooding in with Hairless Heiress. And I didn't even remember or know that she won the Las Ciénegas, but that's one of my favorite races because it was down the hill. And, that's what makes Santa Anita Santa Anita.
She also won a race at Los Al called the Chapman Stakes, and she won the Bangles and Beads at Fairplex in '87, which was actually the first year that Fairplex was known as Fairplex. It was Pomona, I think, through 1986.
Love Pomona. The Porky Pig trash cans, hot dog on a stick, lemonade, a couple of slices of very average at best, if not bad pizza at the Spaghetti Pot. But, I mean, hey, it was pizza near the racetrack, and great, the jacuzzi tubs on sale right across for families to walk through, and just great memories of my days at the Pomona Fair, man. I miss it a lot.
Well, Frank, we don't want to make this a gloom and doom segment, obviously, without minimizing what is going on in Southern California right now. Let's talk some racing and some more fun stuff. You saw something last week that we don't usually see. Bob Baffert wins a lot of races in Southern California and wherever he runs. I don't remember the last time he won 4 in one day, and there were 2 very, very good-looking 3-year-olds in Barnes and Rodriguez that both got the job done.
Yes, Barnes was simply phenomenal. I called him a beast. I never thought of using that word until I just saw him take off at the top of the stretch. That was fantastic, and I would have to say that he's got to be on everyone's very short list of Kentucky Derby favorites at this stage, just because of the huge step from his debut at Churchill. Plus, if you just think about it, he took that horse to Churchill with Mr. Zidane. We all know the whole story behind all this. Now he's here, wins the San Vicente for, the 14th time, and just absolutely obliterates the competition. Very nice. And Rodriguez had a beautiful stride himself. So a lot of excitement. He's loaded as usual, and he's got one objective in this world, and that's to get back on the first Saturday in May and win it.
Also got to call Ricci, defeating the more heralded Pleasant stablemate in the Las Flores. And then your namesake, Miramati, who I think has made more enemies than friends thus far in his career, but he put it all together last week, beating Eagles Flight and the others pretty impressively.
Yeah, I didn't get as many texts with the big wins, I should say, than I have through some of his chalk-burning escapades and horrific behavior on track and just some real filthy performances at low odds. I'm hoping, and I looked it up because we all talk about our favorite horses, and you and I, of course, growing up in L.A. and going to Santa Anita our whole lives as kids that made us, passionate fans that turned us into track announcers, Bobby. We have a bunch of favorite horses, but without any question, one of them that will always remain on my list, I thought reminded me a little bit of Miramati because of his past performances, but when I looked it up, I was actually surprised it didn't take him as long to break his maiden as Miramati, but a horse who ended up winning the Santa Anita Handicap named Sir Beaufort for Charlie Whittingham. He was burning some nice chalk early in his career, and when I finally met Trevor Denman in 1990 or so, and shortly thereafter had asked him at one time, like if he remembered his call of Sir Beaufort breaking his maiden, I was so disappointed that he didn't remember the call. And it wasn't like it wasn't some ridiculously incredible call, but to me it was such an important race when he finally broke his maiden, and then he ended up winning a lot of races. And in fact, when I looked up his PPs, I said, wow, this horse was actually better than I thought. But Sir Beaufort had issues, really wasn't, running to his potential, and eventually won the big cap by a nose, and now Miramati's actually pointed to the big cap. So I was hoping to be able to draw more comparisons between the two, but Sir Beaufort was much more accomplished by the time he was in the Santa Anita Handicap field, but he was a damn good horse and a very talented one. And so hopefully Baffert can get Miramati to win the big cap. It's really it's been a fun ride, even though I have bet Miramati one time, only once, and he got absolutely hyped out beyond belief, and he got beat by a 35-1 shot in his comeback where he was supposed to be like grade one material. And I've never stepped up to the plate any other time. It was a race at Del Mar. In fact, I was at Saratoga during the time, and I was not happy with that performance. I mean, he had the dream trip of life and couldn't get there. So I never thought he'd be in a position to be pointing to a race like a grade one.
Speaking with track announcer Frank Miramati, calls the races on a regular basis at both Santa Anita and at Saratoga. Aside from the climate and obviously the backgrounds, what's the big difference for you calling races, actually physically calling the races from the Santa Anita booth compared to the Saratoga booth?
Well, Santa Anita is my favorite place on earth. It always has been since I was a little kid. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do is get there, particularly on Saturdays and Sundays, and so nothing will ever be able to top Santa Anita. It just can't. It's impossible. And look, I'm well aware of the quality of racing at Saratoga and the incredible history of Saratoga, and it's certainly no disrespect to Saratoga because to be there is off the charts, something I could never even dream of. So the main difference, I'll say this, it's a lot easier to call races at Santa Anita. And I say that knocking on wood because as soon as I say that, I'll make a terrible call in my next race. But I'm much more familiar with it. It's a smaller oval. It's much higher up to call the races from a good booth. Like you had a great booth at Calder Race Course. It was hard to miss anything at Calder. You were way up there, and you could see it clearly. I had a great booth at Louisiana Downs, same type of thing. So the position of the booth is a very important element of comfort and being able to deliver at the highest level. And Santa Anita's booth to me is one that's very, very comfortable. Although, I've actually a couple of times hit my head on the top there because it's not designed. I'm 6 foot. I'm not exactly, basketball player material, but there's like about an inch between me and and one time I got like excited during a race and hit my head pretty hard. So, but it's just, it's Santa Anita, and that's the way I think about it. How many races I watch in the grandstand, how many vantage points I've been to watch races from the infield, from the clubhouse after the finish line, from the top of the stretch. I remember so many races, and so I'm definitely more comfortable there. Saratoga is different in that it's like Breeders' Cup material on a daily basis with regard to the huge crowds on hand and the event part of it, where every day at Saratoga is an event. People set their calendars for those moments that they're going to be at Saratoga. They'll tell you their dates. We're going to be there from, July 25th to July 29th, or we're going to be there from August 6th to the 14th. Like, everyone has their thing, and so it's a constant social event, so to speak, and get together and reacquaintance with friends and colleagues from the past and a lot of racing people. So it's a different situation, but they're both, the highest level of racing, and in both places you get the tremendous maiden special weight races and you get, incredible stakes races. But, Saratoga has been a big challenge. It's very hard work. It's very draining. As we get older, no matter what we're doing, it's not as easy. And I'm not like some old man, but believe me, I'm an old version of 57. I've been through a lot in many ways. And so it takes every ounce of energy, but it's a very fulfilling feeling. And I'm incredibly blessed to have both those chances. And I'm well aware. It's not like I don't take anything for granted. And every day I walk into both tracks, I just have to shake my head, particularly at Santa Anita. I just look in there every day and have memories and look at the sign and remember all the different parts of that place and all the different memories and all the people I've come there with and all the times my mom and my dad and my brother, and just good stuff. I can't believe we never met because we were probably spending a lot of time at the same venue.
What's it like calling the Hillside Turf Course? You get the La Ciénegas coming up on Sunday, and you've called a lot of races down the hill, and obviously have watched a lot of those races over the years. What challenges is it from your booth to call those races? Well,
when I first auditioned for the Santa Anita job, I bought better binoculars, the Canon Image Stabilizer 15 by 50s, because they're much more powerful and you can see a lot further from them. And I can tell you that the downhill race has always been my favorite race in the world. And I have a long list of some of my favorite participants. But calling it was quite a nightmare for the beginning stages of doing it. It's very difficult because they go behind the trees. And Trevor Denman told me, he gave me good advice about that. He explained to me that they're only back there for about 3 seconds. And if you time everything properly to where you get to the trailer right before the leader goes behind the trees, that and if you experience will help you get to that point where it's much more seamless than obvious that I have no idea who's anywhere. Now you can look at the television, and there is a television, and I have to turn to the left to see it, and it's hooked up to where it's live. It's not on any delay whatsoever. But I don't like to do that at all unless it's an absolute emergency. I always have thought play-by-play is for play-by-play. We don't need Samsung race callers. So I have had to go to the TV in the early stages of the hill when they're going behind there. But if you time it right, and I become more, just like anything, experience helps. It becomes easier to do. But it's not fun. It takes away from the great fun that we all have enjoying down the hill. It's a difficult assignment, but it's very exciting because the stretch run, when they get to the dirt and cross over and then come down the lane, anything can happen. The horse is dead last, can blow by them all. The horse on the lead can keep going. And you and I have, in our days, particularly in our high school days and after, have seen some remarkable performances on track down the hill that I know I'm sure you have a long list of memories yourself.
Frank, assuming that they race this weekend at Santa Anita, and I haven't read anything to the contrary yet, I'm sure they're monitoring the air quality situation out in Southern California as we speak. You get Cal Cup Day tomorrow, and you get 5 stakes on hand. It's a little bit weird saying the Cal Cup and not saying the name The Chosen Vron, but Big City Lights is certainly a very, very good sprinter. You got some other up-and-comers in the other races. Cal Cup's a fun day.
It is a fun day. It's a day to acknowledge the breeders that are such a big part of this game. We all know that the owners without the owners, we have nothing. But the breeders, this is their day to shine. And to answer your comment at the beginning here, an announcement will take place before the end of the day today. I can tell you that the air quality around Arcadia and surrounding the track has improved dramatically, and they're monitoring the situation very closely. And I'm expecting, from what I hear, that we will have some sort of announcement at the end of the day as to whether we run tomorrow. But this is a big tradition, the Cal Cup Day, and they're these are moments where for good purses and with a lot of prestige and with awards, for the year-end awards for the California Thoroughbred Breeders Association and such. This is their time to kind of shine and let their superstars out, and also a time in which you get a maiden special weight to kick off the program, which is always fun to begin some of these careers or to be in the early stages of their careers. But you're right, not seeing the Chosen Brawn here, who's one of the funnest horses I've had the privilege of watching and calling, and what a great training job and management by Eric Kruljak. It is a little different, but I get to see one of my favorite Cowbreds, an Old Pal, participating in the Unusual Heat Turf Classic. I've liked him from the beginning. He was another horse. I'm going to look his PPs up right now, but I know his debut was like, you got to be kidding me. How did this horse lose? Hold on one second as I get
they've been running against Open Company the last 3 starts, and he hasn't been winning, but he's been running well, and now he's back in against the State Breds.
At 4-5 in his second start, that was one of the biggest cinches in the history of horse racing. If you watched his debut, stretching out to a mile, and I was happy with my call when he came back to the races on May 5th. In fact, one of the owners, Scott from Blinkers On, sent me an email, which meant the world to me. I've always been a fan of this horse, and when he came back with that big kick, he's a fun horse to watch, and that's a good race, very good race.
All right, I'm going to leave you with this thought or this question. Speaking of stretching out to a mile, any worries from you that Barnes will have trouble going around 2 turns?
No, Baffert was quoted as talking about the comparisons on the dam side to American Pharoah, and he knows what he's looking at. So I cannot imagine that that's a concern right now. The key is to, everything. These are the races now. It's the same story every year. This is where you find out who's ready to step up when they stretch out and they start traveling around to see who. And he's got so many of them, as do other horsemen around the country. But this is where we're going to start finding out, and where the 3-year-old preps get very, very exciting.
All right, Frank, really appreciate you taking the time. I'm sorry that we're not listening to your live calls today from Santa Anita, but hopefully we will get them this weekend. Certainly, if the decision is made that they can't run this weekend, it's purely because it's just not safe enough to run. But wishing you nothing but the best, and certainly the best for everyone out there in Southern California who's dealing with just this nightmare that's going on this week.
Thanks a million, Bobby. Always a pleasure talking to you. Both on and off the radio, we have classic conversations, whatever the circumstance.
All right, my friend. Have a good weekend.
All right, take care. Thanks a million.
All right, Frank Miramati with Bobby Neuman on yesterday's Betting with Bobby program. You can listen to that show every Friday here on the network. And by the way, listen to podcasts of all of our shows on our website and on every podcast platform. The situation at Santa Anita is still kind of in flux. The plan is to run later today. I have reached out to the folks at Santa Anita here this morning, waiting on an update. If I get that before we go off air at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'll be sure to pass it along to you. But the plan is to run. The question is, will it be safe enough with the air quality? That is the whole name of the game here. The fire situation, not an issue, at least in terms of being close to Santa Anita. At this point, Santa Anita in no danger, but the issue is the air quality, and if it is safe to do so, they will proceed. If it is not, they certainly will not. And, again, if I get an update, I'll pass that along to you as we move throughout the program here this morning. All right, when I come back, I'll take a look at a couple dates in racing history. I'll update you on the poll question, and I'll tell you what's ahead in hour number 3. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
The 2025 National HBPA Annual Conference is fast approaching, and registration is now open. The conference takes place February 24th to the 26th at the Safety Harbor Resort and Spa in Safety Harbor, Florida, and includes multiple presentations from industry leaders, along with a keynote address and a trip to nearby Tampa Bay Downs to enjoy a day at the races. The cutoff date for hotel reservations is Monday, January 20th, so don't delay. Go to nationalhbpa.com/convention to reserve your spot.
James Brown and Bill Cowher welcoming you back to Dennis Melvin's house. It's time for the Midnight Snack Run.
This is one tricky obstacle course. Sticking to healthy habits in this kitchen is going to take focus and determination, but it can be done, JB.
He's already entered the snack part of the course, and he's eyeballing a jar of chocolate candy.
That is tempting right off the start.
Uh-oh, he's reaching, Bill, but he pushes it away.
Great stiff arm.
He's approaching a plate of delicious-looking iced cookies.
Oh, Dennis, you only want one of those.
He blows right by him for the apple.
Oh, the fridge. It's make or break time, JB.
He stares down some rich-looking treats. Uh-oh, looks like he's headed for the soda. Wait, he jukes left, grabs grabs the water bottle and shuts the door with his elbow in record time.
Unbelievable move. I gotta see that again.
And he's out. He even turned off the light.
That's the way you execute a midnight snack run.
Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
My battle buddies and I attended the NHL Stadium Series at Yankee Stadium. We had never been there before, and two of us had never seen a hockey game. Man, we had the time of our lives. It was great therapy. VetTix, we can't thank you enough.
Every empty seat at a concert, a game, motorsports, or a play is a missed opportunity to say thanks to a veteran and service member. We can help. We can give our veterans a special event where they too can create their own cherished memories. Find out how by visiting www.vettix.org. That's www.vettix.org. Find out how you can make a difference in a veteran's life.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, all presented by our friends at TwinSpires. Mike Penna getting ready to wind down hour number 2 for you. Hour 3 straight ahead. It begins with the TwinSpires Triple Play and Kevin Kilroy giving you 3 selections you can keep an eye on and bet with TwinSpires this afternoon. Don't forget Kurt Becker, Stroll Through Racing History, a really fantastic story about Always Dreaming, the Kentucky Derby winner. And then Dale and Tim coming up at 10:30 Eastern with I Ask, They Answer. And one of the questions I'm going to pose to Dale and Tim is the same question I'm asking you here this morning with our poll question. With Cockburn being a finalist for Champion Male Sprinter, should there be an Eclipse Award category for Champion Turf Sprinter? Yes or no? Keeping it simple for you this morning. And so far, the majority of you thinking, yeah, we should create one. We should have one just for the turf sprinters. 67% saying, yes, that should be the way we should go moving forward. 33% of you not in favor of that. Tom in St. Louis emails the show, says, no, there is no need to separate turf and dirt sprinters. I think you should. I think if you're going to have a race like the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint and you're going to recognize that division with winning your in races throughout the year, I think that needs to be separate because let's face it, Cockburn, as brilliant as he was, the top turf sprinter in the sport last year, probably isn't going to win that award because Straight No Chaser also had a brilliant year as a dirt sprinter and then won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Sprint. So I think we need a separate category there. Of course, you can make the argument, where does it stop? There's a whole bunch of different Breeders' Cup divisions and winning your in races for those divisions. Do we start creating categories for all of them? You can really water things down. But I think in this case, I think you do need a separate category for a champion turf sprinter. I agree with HRRN Nation and the 67% of you who are saying, yeah, we need to do that. All right, time to take a look at a couple dates in racing history as they apply to this weekend. Today, January 11th, 1950, the anniversary of 5-year-old Citation returning to racing at Santa Anita Park, having been sidelined by injury since December 1948. Sent off at odds of 3-20, he won easily over a sloppy surface to log his 16th consecutive victory. His winning margins for those races totaled 59 lengths. Happy anniversary, Citation. And tomorrow, January 12th, 2001, the anniversary of Affirmed, the 1978 Triple Crown winner, being euthanized at the age of 26 due to chronic musculoskeletal problems. Affirmed is the 11th horse to capture the Triple Crown, and he will be missed and remembered tomorrow, January 12th, 2001. And those are dates in racing history as they apply to this particular weekend. Keep those votes coming to the poll question. Again, you can do it at HRRN on X. You can do it Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, and if you're not a social media person, don't worry about it. Email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, to let me know your thoughts. Rick in Delaware agrees with me, at least on Tony's. He says, hi, Mike. Tony's has excellent stakes. He mentions a couple of other restaurants he really enjoys too, but he said Tony's are the best in Lexington. Rick, I appreciate the support there, and I agree with you 100%. Keep those coming to us here on the network, and we'll pass those along. Again, hour 3 loaded with more content. And the Dale and Tim questions, mostly surrounding the Eclipse Award here. A couple of listener-submitted questions. If you have a question you want Dale and Tim to answer for you, simply submit them to us, mike@horseracingradio.net, or post them on our social media pages, and we will get those worked into the show in the weeks going forward. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go here on the Equine Forum. Stay with me. Hour 3 coming up next. If your local station is leaving us at this time, continue listening to the third hour of the program on Sirius 162 XM 207 in the Louisville, Kentucky market on ESPN 680 and streaming worldwide at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 straight ahead after I pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
They're an eighth of a mile from home. Guns loaded. He's still on the lead, and he leads by 2.5. Second is Treaty of Rome. He's trying to gain late ground. Final 16th of a mile. Here comes Treaty of Rome. Guns loaded needs the wire. Treaty of Rome lifting. Guns loaded hung on. Guns Loaded won the Mucho Macho Man by a diminishing neck.
Touchy's the leader for how long, though? Coming in hot's right on by. Coming in hot, indeed he is coming in hot. And he's rolling right on by. And Touchy has nothing in response. Now he shifts to the outside, tries to re-rally late. But Coming in hot gets it done with Irving Mancada in the 30th running of the Turfway Preview.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Cyclone State is now 8 lengths in front and pouring it on. Omaha on the grandstand side. ICANN is trying to run on Studley Do-Right. Inside the final furlong, Cyclone State is all alone. It's Cyclone State for a final 16th. Cyclone State's almost there. Cyclone State will win the Jerome.
Barnes turns for home, Fuller run in the San Vicente, opening up by 3. Romanesque rallying in between horses, Bullard on the outside, but it's a one-horse race going to the 16th pole. Barnes is a beast. Another San Vicente for Bob Baffer. This time it's Barnes, handridden to a 6-length victory.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Yeah, big weekend last weekend, and the action continues here on this Saturday. Not a plethora of racing action taking place, at least in terms of graded stakes action and major Derby preps races, but you do have the Pasco Stakes down at Tampa Bay Downs. But it's an interesting time because we're getting a chance to catch our breath before we segue into the first major run to the road to the Kentucky Derby, and looking forward to that kicking off as we move throughout January here. Welcome back to the program. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch. Happy to have you along for the ride this morning. Hour 3 begins momentarily with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin Kirstein joins me to do the honors and give you 3 races you can watch and bet at TwinSpires later today. Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History at 10:20. And at 10:30, I ask, they answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. All of that still to come. Don't forget, if you missed any portion of the first 2 hours of the show, head back to our website, horseracingradio.net, to check out the podcast whenever you get some time. Time now to begin Hour 3, as we do every week, with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Kevin, good morning, brother.
Mike, good morning. We were talking before we got on air about Chiefs Steelers, and just because my Chiefs beat you guys so bad, you got to call me Kirstein. You got to refer to me as Kevin Kirstein. I see how it is. That was a low blow.
I messed that up. Kevin Kilroy. I said Kirstein. What was I thinking? Kevin Kilroy. It's these KKs that are just Kirstein. Yeah. But that was a little payback for that, bringing up that game with the Steelers.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm getting so cocky as a Chiefs fan. It's obnoxious. So I apologize to the world for my team and my own behavior.
Well, listen, pal, I'm excited to talk some racing with you. Kevin Kilroy joining me on the TwinSpires Triple Play. You've selected 3 races for our listeners. All 3 come from the fairgrounds this afternoon. Races 5, races 6, and race number 8. So let's begin with that 5th race. 7 horses are set to go, and some Louisiana-bred action here, which is always a lot of fun. 6 furlongs on the main track. It is the Bob F. Wright Memorial Stakes. How'd you see this one, my friend?
Yeah, so we've got the basically the fillies, state breds going here, going 6 furlongs, and we got the fellas in race 8 in the Gary Palmisano, and they're both really good fields. What we just find, I've been finding, year in, year out, down in Louisiana, is that the Labred program has just been doing outstanding, and we've got fillies like Monomoh Gold, right? She, began her career in the UAE. She's in this field, and she won the UAE Oaks. Now, who did she beat? She didn't beat much. Got transferred over to Pletcher, and now she's with Cherie DeVoe. And she's just an interesting Louisiana bred, a strange story to get here. It'll be her second try against her peers, her state-bred, Pelican State peers. And I think she's going to be bet to smithereens. I think they're going to bet her very hard. I don't think she deserves it. I don't think she's proven it at all in her runs here in the States. Now, she's been working really well, but I think it's an opportunity to take a swing against her. Classy Judy G, the number 4 horse in here, outworked filly. Just 3 starts so far, and she's been looking very good. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Patricia West, but she's just a fantastic horsewoman who has had some good ones, A.G. Charlotte and I think Classy Judy G might be the next one. At Delta Downs, she broke her maiden. She just kind of ran off from the field and then got a little bit green, a little bit lost, and actually hit the rail and bounced back and still was able to hold on for the win. She looked very dominant, beating a good field in that allowance race on the 30th. I don't think 4-1's accurate. I think 4-1 is maybe, like a handicapper's line. I think that's probably closer to what the real odds are of her winning, but I think we're going to get closer to 10-1 on Classy Judy G. You've got the Steve Asmussen runner in here, Freeburn. You've got 6-string who just won the Louisiana Ladies Sprint for Alan Landry. You got this Jose Ortiz Cherie DeVoe combo. They've been betting this combo really hard, and they've been winning. They deserve all that attention. So I think we'll get a good price. I think Monomoh Gold still needs to prove it to us before we bet her at anything less than 4-1 is what I've got her fair odds there in this race. So I like this Classy Judy G. I think she doesn't necessarily need the lead, but she might just take it from him out front.
Yeah, I don't see a ton of early speed in here that would be able to contest the pace with her if she decides to go. Do you?
I mean, maybe Royal O'Hagan. I mean, the form is questionable for that the outside runner there.
Yeah.
But we did run well last time against Lesser. Loveberry
Freeburn,
up.
Maybe?
Maybe Freeburn. She just hasn't been as sharp as we were expecting her to be. And, she's been getting to the front but not going that fast. Her pace figures aren't coming back strong. So I could definitely see a world where with that perfect, middle draw, Marcelino Pedrosa Jr. up, that he just gets out and just takes the command and leads the whole way. So 8-1 or higher, I'll be betting that one to win.
All right. So Classy Judy G, the top pick of Kevin Kilroy in race number 5 at the fairgrounds this afternoon. 4-1 on the morning line, and he thinks maybe you get a bit better than that. We'll see how the wagering works out as we get closer to post time, which, in case you're wondering, post time for that 5th race this afternoon, 4:15 Eastern, 3:15 locally Central Time down in New Orleans. All right, Kevin, let's move on to the next leg. Race number 6 at the fairgrounds is a really competitive allowance race. You have a field of 8 set to go, purse of $59,000, 6 furlongs on the main track. Who wins this one?
Yeah, this is a good field, and it's interesting. We've got a couple of these. I believe maybe just one. Little Muggs was on that first Kentucky Derby future wager pool. The Greg Foley trainee. I mean, there's 3 in here that I think can win. So it's all about the price for me, right? So sometimes I do like to do a big time fair odds for a field, right? To make sure that I kind of stay sober when I start betting the race, right? that I don't get lost in it, in the gambling, the action of it, just to make sure that I really have my sort of target and what I want to see before I bet. So, Hey Jude, the the rail horse in here, Tom Amos's Labred, facing this open company field. He's a runner. He's a big time runner, and I think he's the most likely winner. I've got him at 5-2, but we won't get 5-2. I mean, when Amos says live runners, they bet him very hard. I think that's true of a few of these in here, which could be interesting. So, but Hey Jude, 2 back, had a horrible trip. Really showed a game effort to split foes at the end. Was green. 3 excuses in there, and still was able to beat a good field for that Peluso. Last out on the rail, taking kickback, pinned in. Finally got room and had a huge gallop out to beat Smokin' Wicked, who's a fantastic runner for Dallas Stewart. You can see we got the rider change. I don't think Amos has been too happy with the ride Loveberry has been given, is my read on that. And Morales obviously is usually his top guy, or back in good graces with him. So, Hey Jude, very dangerous in here. Little Mugs, I mentioned, talented, tracks Jose Ortiz. That is the Jose Ortiz tax. You'll have to pay with it. You won't get 4-1. Went longer last time on that Stars of Tomorrow 2 card, chasing to the outside, a little bit green. Not to get by McKellen in the stretch. I thought McKellen didn't flatter that one last out with the Macho Man last weekend. So Little Mugs, I think it was going to be way too short of a price, but could be very dangerous. I think Normandy Coast is the one that we want to center in on. We're not going to get 6-1. Eddie Keneally's live runners get bet, time and time again. But this is a big guy who looked very good getting it done at 7 furlongs at second asking. And he's stronger now than he was then. Been watching his works, and he's put on a ton of muscle. He hasn't been working with strong company. That's my one question mark. I like to see good company. But he's been up at Keeneland, so I'm just not sure, who else in Keneally's barn has been up there with him. But he looks fantastic, and he's got this outside post. I think he can just sort of find his spot in here and mow him down. I'd love to get 7-2 or higher on Normandy Coast to bet that one to win. I think we'll get it.
Yeah, I think so too, especially 6-1 on the morning line. And when you look at the competition, it seems like he's going to stick right around those odds. Maybe they bet him down a little bit, but I can see getting 4 or 5-1 on that horse.
Yeah. I think it's one of those deals where, I don't know. Watch these Keneally's runners. Sometimes they get bet early very hard, and then they float up. Sometimes they get bet hard, and they get bet hard throughout. If it's too short of a price, I'll go elsewhere. But if we were to get anything close to that morning line, that's a definitely good value there.
Let me ask you this question, Kevin. You talked about Hey Jude, and last time out, second behind Smokin' Wicked, who we know is a really good Louisiana bred from the barn of Dallas Stewart. Do you see Smokin' Wicked as a horse that can have an impact with open company as we move throughout the road to the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah. Well, the distance is the question. I know Dallas thinks that he can get 2 turns. They might try him in either the Lecomte, or the Risen Star or some sort of Derby prep. He looks very good as a sprinter, and he came back and won the Louisiana Futurity after this. And, Dallas was saying that maybe he got a little lost towards the wire in this Louisiana Champions Day stake. So he instructed Colby to add 5 lengths to the margin at the end, just to really get his confidence going and get him moving forward and keep him busy all the way through the wire. And it was impressive. He was able to do it. He looked dominant. He got a big figure. The 2 turns seems to be the question, but against open company and maybe that Pate Mile Dallas has talked about, I could see him be legit. I think these Labreds get discounted, but they shouldn't be. The talent is definitely there.
Yeah, certainly some talented runners there. And number 8, Normandy Coast from the barn of Eddie Keneally, the top pick of Kevin Kilroy in race number 6 at the Fairgrounds. And 5-1, 6-1 on the morning line for Normandy Coast. All right, the final leg that you're going with today, Kevin, is race number 8, and that is the Gary Palmisano Memorial, 6 furlongs, main track, field of 8 set to go. How'd you see it?
Yeah, we've got possibly maybe our best price of the day here with number 2 Ranch Badge, 8-1 morning line, trained by Matt Hebert. I imagine that's part of one of the many Heberts in horse racing family. I don't know this trainer, but it's just that angle that I do really like in terms of, I like to look at thoroughgraphs, like to get a sense for when it looks like a horse is just going in the right direction. And we move forward. We ran a 4 last time on thoroughgraphs, and it looks like just a little bit better than what he had been doing in the past, and it was against Open Company, and he could be ripe for that next move forward. So I think Ranch Badge looks dangerous. I mean, last out against Blue Light. I don't know if you remember Blue Light. He was with Asmussen before. I mean, he's running 90 buyers, and he's won 4 of his last 5 up in Oklahoma. So he's a quality runner. And this is a good field, though. So I do want to see that sort of, what do I got for him? I do have 8-1 I've got for my fair value, fair odds on Ranch Badge, but I think we're going to get more than that. Go Sugar, all that being said, Go Sugar has been fantastic. Here's one who had the talents with Sam David Jr. and was just unbelievable, but he was just having breathing issues, and they've got things straightened out. Now he's with Keith Bourgeois, and they just can't touch him. They haven't been able to touch him. So, I mean, hopefully some of the jocks put some pressure on him and just try to really go after him early. But if he gets away loose, watch out. I just think he's going to be too short of a price. El Dinero, I mean, I think maybe the 23rd of November was his best shot, and we might be moving south. He took a step backwards in terms of looking at Thoroughgraph. Jackhammer probably needed that last race. He should move forward, but it's going to be a very short price. Not on Herb, I think, is interesting. Herb Jones, named after Herb Jones from the Pelicans. But he seems to be consistent, but maybe not good enough to win. So I think Ranch Badge is really the one that I'm going to key in on there.
You talk about 8-1 being your fair odds on Ranch Badge, and he is 8-1 on the morning line. How do you handle that, Kevin, from a betting perspective? If the horse were to get bet down to, say, 6-1, you feel that 8-1 is fair odds. Do you just get off of him completely, or do you still bet him?
Yeah, I mean, that's always, in theory, like my best self, my disciplined self just stays away, right? But as I was talking about, like kind of staying sober in the betting, like, when you get into it and you're watching the market and I'm looking for action, I do slip up sometimes. So 6-1, I might be sitting here smiling with you and just go, let's see, I like this horse, let's go for it, But in the long run, thinking about fair odds is I want to make money over the long run, and if I bet horses at prices that are shorter than I think they're worth, then that's not going to work out for me. So, I do a fair odds line based off 100 points, so that keeps things sort of honest in terms of, you'll see morning lines, 120 to 140, 150. So that keeps things sort of tight and efficient, I think. And any 8-1, and sometimes you have late money come in. That's okay with 100-point line. So I want 8-1. That's what I want to center in. And if I'm getting a good amount more than that, then I think my bet just goes up. Is my plan for Ranch Badge. So unless it's like sometimes you can get astronomical odds, or you start seeing like 80-1. You're like, oh geez, not even the trainer's mother likes this horse. We're going to stay away. So
right. How long does it take you to put together a line like that?
It used to take a little bit longer, but I'm just getting a better feel for it. That's one of the things I do, not just handicap, but try to get a sense of the markets. I love thinking about markets and kind of do some of my spare time reading about stuff that sort of flirts with those ideas of markets and how they behave and all that sort of stuff. And I've got a much more intuitive feel for it. So I can whip it out pretty quick and feel pretty good about it. Yeah. So it didn't used to be that way. It used to take me a good amount of time. So it's getting quicker for sure.
All right, let's recap the TwinSpires triple play from Kevin Kilroy here this morning. In race 5 at the Fairgrounds, he will take number 4, Classy Judy G, at odds of 4-1. Race number 6, he will go in number 8, Normandy Coast, at 6-1. And in race number 8, the Gary Palmisano Memorial, he'll take number 2, Ranch Badge, at odds of 8-1. Remember, you can play each of those races and all the races you're going to bet this weekend with TwinSpires. Kevin, really appreciate the visit, my friend. I'm sure TwinSpires has a whole bunch of great stuff happening this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to say, I owe your listeners a winner, so we got to bring one of these home. I think I'm on the duck every time I've come on. So hopefully I've offered some good information as well. But I think I'm on the duck. So let's get one of these home. And TwinSpires has the tournaments cooking up. You've got to take a look at those. It's been awesome to see Matt Miller, big-time live money tournament player. He's been participating in those and also sort of commenting on the Twitter threads, given his approach and strategy. So check that out as well. It's been really cool to see Matt Miller dive into all that. But TwinSpires is bringing the good stuff. And the thing I like right now is they're offering 9 times the rewards points for betting your favorite track. So as long as you're just betting the track that you bet the most to TwinSpires, whichever one you put the most money through the window, you're getting to 9 times the rewards points. So take advantage of that and boost those extra dollars coming into your account.
Great stuff. Kevin, appreciate the visit, my man. We will talk again soon.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, buddy. Kevin Kilroy here on HRRN, the TwinSpires Triple Play. When I come back, it's time for Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History, a really fun story remembering Always Dreaming, the Kentucky Derby winner. You won't want to miss that, and you won't want to miss Dale and Tim coming up at 10:30 Eastern with this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer. That's all ahead on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Are you looking for a safe racehorse ownership experience? One that's simple, affordable, fun, and engaging? Being part of this type of racehorse ownership group is easier than you might think. Having instant action by investing with a group whose horses are already on the racetrack immediately puts you in the game. Being able to quickly experience the next level thrill of watching your horses compete, whether it be in person at the track or via mobile devices, is a vital part of enjoying racehorse ownership. Mojo Racing Partners are driven to maximize everyone's thrills by delivering race-ready runners and competitive placement designed for partners to quickly realize return on invested capital. Having the ability to visit your horse at the barn on race day is a nice perk too. If you've ever thought about taking the next step from the rail to the owner's box, Mojo would like to talk to you. Owning a competitive racehorse gives you a thrill like no other.
And it's Thormistor getting his second win and charging through for Danny Sorensen.
Since 2006, Mojo Racing Partners has customized affordable racehorse ownership groups to help people experience this excitement.
She's for you, home and front.
For as low as $41 a month, you can be part of Mojo's winning connections. Get your Mojo working by visiting MojoRacingPartners.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. He was the fulfillment of a racing dream, in fact, the biggest of racing dreams. And as such, he had a name which seemed almost prophetic. His name was Always Dreaming. Foaled on February 25th, 2014 at Drummond Farm in Lexington, Kentucky, Always Dreaming was a dark bay or brown colt by Bodemeister out of Above Perfection by NXS. His sire was a Grade 1 winner, while his dam had won at the Grade 3 level and was Grade 1 placed. Bred by Mike Ryan and Jerry Dilger in the name of Santa Rosa Partners, Always Dreaming sold in the Drummond consignment at the Keeneland September yearling sale for $350,000. Steve Young signed the ticket as agent. After going winless as the beaten favorite in a pair of sprints as a juvenile in New York, Always Dreaming was sent to Florida and trainer Todd Pletcher for the winter. The colt would make his first start for Pletcher in his 3-year-old debut, which came in a maiden special weight around 2 turns at Tampa Bay Downs on January 25, 2017. Always Dreaming won by 11 lengths as the 1-5 favorite under jockey John Velasquez. Pletcher knew he had a special colt, special enough that he and the owners believed the colt could be a contender for the Spring Classics. And so they had a decision to make. Always Dreaming would race next at Gulfstream Park, but would it be in the Fountain of Youth Stakes or in Allowance Optional Claiming Company on the Fountain of Youth undercard? The decision was made to run in the allowance event at 1 1/8, and Always Dreaming won as the 1-9 favorite. A win is always good news, but bypassing the Fountain of Youth meant that if Always Dreaming was to score points to qualify for the Kentucky Derby, he would get just one chance. That opportunity would come on April 1st in the Grade 1 Florida Derby. Pete Aiello with the call.
3 rules. The Florida Stallion Series champion has the lead by a length. Always Dreaming asked to quicken by Johnny V second. Up on the outside, it's Impressive Edge third. State of Honor. He has horse but needs some place to go from fourth. Gunnevera's into fifth but still a long way off the lead. And the lead is now held by Always Dreaming. Always Dreaming set down for the drive by John Velasquez, and he's moving away. State of Honor is up into second, then Impressive Edge. Gunnevera too little, too late. But inside the 16th pole, the 2017 Florida Derby to Todd Pletcher, and Always Dreaming. They won it by 4 in the end.
Always Dreaming not only had won the Florida Derby, but also had given Pletcher his 3rd victory in the race in 4 years. The time of 1 minute 47 and 2/5 seconds for the 9 furlongs was the fastest running of the event in nearly 40 years. Always Dreaming had earned the right to head to Churchill Downs for the 143rd running of the Kentucky Derby. He was in top form, but in the final week leading to the Derby, there was a puzzling development. He became super aggressive, recalls Pletcher. We put draw reins and a different exercise rider on him. We were just trying to keep him on the ground when he galloped, and we were counting the days until the race. The date was Saturday, May 6th, 2017. Pletcher and Velasquez had each won the Kentucky Derby on a prior occasion, but such was not the case for the folks who owned Always Dreaming. Brooklyn Boys Stables of Anthony Bonomo and Vinnie Viola, Teresa Viola Racing Stables of Teresa Viola, Sienna Farm LLC of Anthony Manganero, West Point Thoroughbreds of Terry Finley, MEB Racing Stables LLC of Mary Ellen Bonomo, and St. Elias Stables LLC of Vinnie Viola. They all had Derby dreams on that first Saturday in May. Larry Colmus gives us the call.
As they make their way around the far turn, Always Dreaming and John Velasquez are in front. State of Honor is dropped back. Irish War Cry now moves up on the outside and is taken second. Battle of Midway is midway between those two runners, and then it's a 3-length gap back to Gormley. McCracken has been unleashed on the far outside, and Classic Empire is beginning his charge, and he's coming wide as they turn for home, and it is Always Dreaming in front. Always Dreaming with Battle of Midway a length and a half behind as they come into the final furlong. Looking at Lee is making a bid now through on the inside up into second. Always Dreaming with a 2.5 length lead, a 16th to go. Looking at Lee is second. Then comes Battle of Midway, Classic Empire. They're coming to the line, and the dream comes true. Always Dreaming has won the Kentucky Derby.
On a rain-soaked track as the 9-2 favorite, Always Dreaming had captured the most coveted prize in American racing. It was truly a day for dreams. Always Dreaming would finish off the board 2 weeks later in the Preakness Stakes, and he would go winless over the final 5 races of his career. He would be retired to stallion duty at Windstar Farm in Versailles, Kentucky, before being sold to River Oaks Farms in Sulphur, Oklahoma in September of 2024. Always Dreaming died 3 months later at the age of 10 after rupturing his large intestine following a bout with colic. As a sire, he will perhaps best be remembered for his son Saudi Crown, winner of the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. It has been said that Always Dreaming will also be remembered not as a great horse, but as a really good horse, which went from being a maiden winner in January of his 3-year-old year to winning the Kentucky Derby 14 weeks later. He was truly a colt of exceptional talent. For a final thought, we turn to words spoken by co-owner Vinnie Viola when a member of the press asked him for a quote following the Kentucky Derby. Viola smiled and spoke just 2 words: "Go Dreaming." Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
Nobody weaves a story together like Kurt Becker. My thanks to Kurt for that story. If you missed any of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History segments, check out the Stroll Through Racing History page on our website, horseracingradio.net, and you can listen to all of those shows. And don't forget, too, about our weekly Brisnet.com call-in show, 6 to 7 Eastern, every Thursday with Bobby Neuman and James Scully. It is your chance to call in and talk racing with our experts. Every Thursday, 6 to 7 Eastern, here on HRRN. Coming up next, I Ask, They Answer with Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A two-time Grade 1 winner at Saratoga with nearly $2.5 million in earnings, and one of the best sons of Super Sire, Gunrunner.
And it is Gunite, and he's going to win the 117th running of the hopeful.
Gunite is maintaining the lead, and he will defeat Elite Power in the Forgo.
Gunite posted 9 triple-digit buyers, won 9 races, and hit the board in 19 of 21 starts. Precocious, fast, durable, and tough. Call the team at Ashford today to book your mare.
The championship meet is back at Gulfstream Park. Come to Hallandale Beach and experience the best in live racing action Thursday through Sunday, plus an expanded event schedule. Join us trackside at the Carousel Club or head upstairs to Ten Palms Restaurant with an elevated view of the track. Enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete all winter long. For stake schedules, reservations, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
They have to catch Cogburn, who turns for home loaded with a 3-length advantage. He's running powerfully. Coppola is racing in second. A wall of horses trying to get through, including Star of Mystery. And on the outside, Arzak is finding his best stride. Center of the course, Mischief Magic, but Cogburn dominates the Jaipur. Wins by 4.5. It's a 3-way photo for second, including Arzak, Star of Mystery, and Coppola.
That's Frank Miramati with the call of Cogburn's record-setting victory in the Jaipur last summer. He's a finalist for Champion Male Sprinter, but has the time come to create an Eclipse Award category for the Turf Sprint division. Plus, we tell you which of Bob Baffert's plethora of Derby hopefuls are really worth buying at this point in the season. And was Brian Hernandez Jr. the biggest snub of this year's Eclipse Award finalists? All of those topics and much, much more are straight ahead on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf writer Tim Wilkin, presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business, and all starting just 30 seconds from right now.
A spark turns into a dream, and your dreams fuel a love that will last a lifetime. Turn your passion into a career with experienced guidance, a thorough study of equine business, as well as opportunities to get your hands dirty and put your mind to work. Located in the heart of horse country, let your passion fuel your profession at the U of L Equine Industry Program. Apply today.
All right, guys, we're going to dive in with a couple of listener-submitted questions. And, Tim, based on your prediction last week, when you said your prediction for the new year was that Shane in North Carolina would submit the most questions of any listener. Shane seems to submit every week. Tom in St. Louis took exception to that, and he said, no, you know what? That is not going to happen. I'm going to submit more questions than Shane. So we have one from each of them here this morning to begin the show. This is kind of a affirmed Alidar type of rivalry brewing here between Shane and Tom.
I think that Shane and Tom are just going to be burning up their computers, coming up with questions, and that is awesome. I just hope they don't ask just goofy questions. I don't think they will, just for the sake of asking a question, because it seems like every week Shane and Tom are both thoughtful questions that they're coming up with, and if they want to have a little rivalry between the two of them, have at it.
Yeah, maybe we get a few more listeners
We need a
involved.
third party to chime in, though. We need somebody else to come and compete with them.
Well, the floor is open. Anybody wants to jump in, they should do it.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Listen and jump in.
I say it all the time on this show, but you guys really do love when we get questions from our listeners, because they tend to be completely different than anything that we're going to come up with, right?
We do, and it's good to figure out what they're thinking about and what they're interested in, and so the more the better.
Yeah, some of them, we've had questions that are goofy and stupid, but I would think for the majority of them, they're all really good. So, maybe there should be some kind of award given, kind of like the mythical trophy that we gave Dale for cheating to win the
showdown
competition. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good trophy. Y'all haven't seen it yet. I ended up buying it for myself.
Yeah. Did it say, I cheated to win?
It said all it said was champion.
Well, that competition is going to return later this year as we get past the Triple Crown and start that road to the Breeders' Cup. So stay tuned for that showdown competition in 2025. But, guys, let's jump into the topics here this morning and start with Shane in North Carolina, who sends us a buy or sell question. He wants to know, with Barnes's impressive win in last Saturday's San Vicente, trainer Bob Baffert now has a multitude of horses firmly on the Derby Trail. Which of the following Baffert horses, other than Barnes, are you guys buying and selling? And let's start with Romanesque, who was second to Barnes last week in the San Vicente. Tim Wilkin, buy or sell?
I'm selling this one. And then, the Romanesque was 5.5 lengths behind Barnes. It didn't look like he was that Romanesque was not cranked up to win that race. I think he's going to get better as he starts going longer, but I think that I can't get past his. He's a Pennsylvania bred. Nothing against the Pennsylvania bred program, but there's not a lot of success on the first Saturday of May when you're a Pennsylvania bred. It's only happened twice. Smarty Jones and Lily T. Even though Angel of Empire ran pretty well a couple years back, but I'm selling this one.
I agree. Sell. I'm selling Barnes, by the way.
You're selling what, Dale?
Because I'm selling Barnes, by the way, too. So if I sell Barnes, I got to sell this one.
What don't you like about Barnes?
I didn't think his maiden win was that super impressive. I didn't like his action on the track, the way he moves, but I might be wrong, but I don't think he's the best.
All right, how about another Baffert runner that's
isn't going to like that?
No, I like Jimmy a lot. I'm just not a big fan of the horse yet. Now, he may make me eat my words, and I'm sure if he does, you'll remind me.
I will.
How about another Baffert runner, a horse that's accomplished quite a bit? The Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner, Citizen Bull. Timmy, buy or sell?
This is a tentative. This is a mediocre or tentative buy for me.
Yep, I'll agree. I'll buy him.
I don't hear them. There's the sound, and the reason being is because the Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner has not had a lot of success in the Kentucky Derby. I mean, Citizen Bull came into the Juvenile really under the radar. He was 15-1. So I'm going to buy for now, but I'm going to reserve judgment to sell later.
Yep, well, I'll buy him too. Cha-ching.
You're okay with Citizen Bull?
Yeah, I'm okay with him. I know the history's against him, but he can get it done.
All right. How about the horse that was second to him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Gaming, who is now pointing for the Southwest Stakes at Oaklawn on January 25th for his 3-year-old debut? Dale, are you buying or selling Gaming?
I'm buying. Yep, I like him too. I think that, history is against horses that run the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but what else do we have out there to talk about right now?
Tim?
I'm going to buy Gaming. I mean, because his daddy, Game Winner, won the Juvenile in 2018 and came back. He was fifth in the Derby. This is a horse that Bob has been high on. 2 wins and 4 starts. He's eligible to get better too.
All right, I'll give you one more Baffert runner. How about Getaway Car, who was 4th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, then 2nd last time out in the Low Sale Futurity? What are you doing with Getaway Car, Tim?
I'm going to buy him too. I mean, this is 3 of these horses are owned by Tom Ryan's SF Racing and their 9 partners, Getaway Car, Romanesque, and Citizen Bull. And Getaway Car is, he's already got a pretty good foundation. He's got 6 starts already. And he's been in some graded stakes races. Second in the American Pharoah, second in the Los Alfred Jury. And the thing is with Baffert, and I know Dale's going to get all over me for this, but every horse he has now pointing on the Triple Crown Trail towards the Derby. We know how much he wants to win the Derby this year, so I think everything he sends that way is going to deserve more than just a second look.
All right, but I'm going to sell this one. I think he's the latter part of his arsenal. I'm not a big fan.
For a minute there, I thought he had named Romanesque after you.
He might have. I'll go call and ask him when we hang up.
Romanesque, yeah. You're not Romans, but you're Romanesque. I like that.
Exactly.
Well, Dale, Shane also wants to know how Keep It Easy is doing and what the current plan is for him. Is he pointing for the Fountain of Youth?
He's doing very well, and I don't know if Fountain of Youth's the big goal right now, but there's a chance he could show up in the Holy Bull. He's doing very well. He is a nice horse. That's a good horse.
How do you make that call? How do you? I mean, obviously the Fountain of Youth's the big one, but how do you know if it's right to put him in the Holy Bull?
Well, we just see how his next couple of works are, and if he works really well, and the Fountain Bull, and the Holy Bull's coming up a little light, we may take a shot there too, and then decide whether to just skip the Fountain of Youth, try one of the last preps, or run him 3 times.
How has he adapted to Florida?
He's done well down here. He's really doing good. He trained good this morning.
I like to see it. I love it. Dale Roman's on the Derby Trail. Keep it easy. Shane, appreciate you asking about him and that question about the Baffert horses as well. As I mentioned, a rivalry brewing among our listeners. Tom in St. Louis says Shane is not going to send in more questions than him this year. Well, here's a question from Tom in St. Louis, guys. He wants to know, well, first of all, he says congratulations to Dale on being elected president of the Kentucky HBPA. His father, Dale, actually served as president of the Southern Illinois HBPA, so he knows firsthand the good that can be done from that organization. His question for you, Dale, is with Tex Sutton no longer operating the airline to transport horses, could the multiple organizations involved in racing, such as the National HBPA, the NTRA, CDI, HISA, Keeneland, Fasig-Tipton, could those organizations work together to find or maybe create a company that could come forward and operate an air transportation company for the industry?
You see, this is why we like listener questions. That's an interesting question. To me, it's interesting. Everybody else might be bored stiff. But that's a good question. And who would have thought somebody's out there thinking about why Tex Sutton isn't flying anymore? Yeah. There was a big problem there. Tex Sutton had an accident where a van pulled in and they didn't have someone with the sticks guiding the van, and the driver hit the wing of the plane and about chopped his head off, and it sued everybody. Tex Sutton was a very profitable business, and if it wasn't for that, they can't get insurance or something. They can't get anybody to lease some planes. Even the leasing company got sued. It's a very complicated thing to run a forwarding company with an airplane. There's a lot of laws and rules. And when they won't lease you the plane, you can't be a part of the big group for maintenance and everything. It's almost impossible to do. I think Tex Sutton would like to crank back up and go back to work. They made a lot of money. But it doesn't look good for us for a while anyway. Good question, though. Good question.
Yeah, it has many layers, and yeah, it's a very interesting question, Tom. Timmy has one for you, too. There are many characters in the sport, and we hear about the best trainers and jockeys and owners quite often. Why does the media not seem to write more stories about gamblers or bettors? Tom would love to read more stories about those folks that are betting on different types of races and why they have success with certain categories.
There has been stories and media coverage on gambling, and the big horse playing championships in Las Vegas gets coverage. But the stark truth is Tom, is that there's just not enough people covering racing anymore to have someone do stories on gamblers. It just it's not like it used to be when you'd have staffs that could, there'd be people that were just looking for stuff to do. And now that's not the case. It's different maybe with the trades with Blood Horse and DRF and such, the Thoroughbred Daily News. But in my coverage of racing over the years, I've tried to do some stories. A lot of gamblers don't want to talk for some reason. Under their own, they just don't want publicity. So there's that too. I agree with them that there are definitely a bunch of characters at the racetrack that are not, trainers and jockeys and owners. And they're interesting people, but you got to get them to want to talk, and that's not always the case. But it's a good question. It's something that that the game maybe could use. But like those big competitions, they do get coverage.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've seen what I've seen in gamblers, they like to talk when they win.
Yeah, but they don't always win.
No, exactly. So you have to find them at the right moment to write a story. Here's another question, though. Does that count as two questions for Tom or one? So
no, it's all one entry. I wasn't going to do that to poor Shane. This is all one topic, designated topic, even though he had a specific question for each of you.
So it's 1-1 right now.
1-1.
Okay.
So we're going to keep track.
Yeah, we're going to have to. And if any other listener would like to submit questions, they can do that. Just email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, or post it on our social media pages, and we will get those worked in. If you want to join this competition between Shane and Tom, go ahead and fire those questions at Dale and Tim. They love getting them, which brings us to our next topic, guys. It is right or wrong, as we say hello to our friend Nick Zito, and you get to tell me if the following statements are indeed right or wrong.
Yeah, right or wrong. Am I right? What do you think? Right or wrong?
Well, let's find out, Nikki. Guys, the Eclipse Award finalists were announced last weekend, and as usually the case, there will be questions about some of the choices made by voters. The three finalists for Champion Jockey are Tyler Gaffalione, Erod Ortiz Jr., and Flavien Prat, which means veteran rider Brian Hernandez Jr., who had a year to remember, did not make the cut. Did voters get this one right or wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Dale, what do you think?
I don't know. There's somebody always left out. As we know, somebody's always getting slighted. The jockeys category seems to be the one that's the easiest to slight somebody. Brian had a heck of a year, whether or not he was nominated or not. But I would have loved to have seen him on there, but who do you take off? All three of them had great years. So it's a slight, but some jockeys always getting slighted every year.
I have to agree with Dale on that one. It's Brian Hernandez wins the Kentucky Derby, and he's the pilot of the probable horse of the year in Torpedo Anna. But when you talk about the Eclipse, it's supposed to be a body of work for the year, and who do you take off? You're not going to take off Flavien Prat, obviously, who's going to win it. Erod Ortiz, a perennial Eclipse Award winner, had another huge year. And Tyler Gaffalione, quietly just amasses wins and, graded stakes wins. He had 23 graded stakes wins this year. You can't take him up. I feel bad for Brian because, he doesn't get the volume of mounts that these guys get, but he won a lot of big races. It's a tough thing. Maybe there should be 4 people on it, but that won't happen. But I feel for Brian, but I think they got the 3 right.
Yeah, I put Brian in there over Tyler Gaffalione, and not only because of what he did with Torpedo Anna and Mystic Dam, but there were other greatest stakes wins on his resume in 2024, which people won't recognize. Rattle and Roll. He won the Clark with Rattle and Roll. He won the Kentucky Downs Ladies Turf Stakes with Walkathon. Brilliant Birdie won the Bryant Station Stakes. I know those aren't grade ones. He won the Pimlico Special with Pyrenees, so he has other victories on his resume in graded stakes that I thought gave him enough to warrant a vote in the top 3.
You won't get any argument from either one of us, I'm sure, but it's just Voters didn't see it that way.
But if you look at the numbers, I mean, Slavian Pratt has 56 graded stakes. Irad has 34. Tyler 23. Brian had 13.
Yeah.
Grant, he also, but you know, the races that he won, you know, were very monumental in big time races. It's a tough call. I mean, if you take, who do you take off? Do you take Tyler Gaffalione off? And that's not fair to him.
Yeah,
I put Tyler at third in mine. And I was very close to putting Brian there, but you know, it's really hard. It's a tough thing after Pratt. I mean, Pratt's going to win it. There's no doubt in my mind that's going to happen. But the other two, if you're not going to win it, who cares, right? If you're not going to win it, who cares if you're in the top three?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about this one? How about Cogburn, who is among the finalists for Champion Male Sprinter, but is likely going to have a difficult time topping Breeders' Cup Sprint winner Straight No Chaser for the top prize in that category. I say that if the sport's going to place such a strong emphasis on turf sprinters to the point of including a race in the Breeders' Cup division, you know, for that division, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, that we should have an Eclipse Award category for turf sprinters. Am I right or wrong?
What do you think? Right or wrong?
Tim, what do you think?
I think you're wrong on this one. Right now we have 12 Eclipse Awards for horses. Okay, you add that one, but then what about these other categories that don't have it, like juvenile filly turf, juvenile turf sprinters, juvenile turf? We make all these Eclipse Awards, the ceremony will go till 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, I mean, Stormy Liberal a couple years back, the turf sprinter, won the Eclipse as the top sprinter. Or as the top her turf horse. But Cogburn, you know, he had a phenomenal year. I put him number one on my ballot. But I just think that we got enough Eclipse Awards as it is. But if you're going to have these races for Breeders' Cup champions, maybe they should include all of them. But I would be against it because I think there's too many of them already.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's too many, and it takes too long to get through the night as it is. But you're right. If you're going to do the turf sprinter, you got to do juvenile turf, filly, juvenile turf, colts. I mean, if you're going to expand, I think I'd take those first. And I think Cogburn should win, too. He had a heck of a year. His whole body of work was outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At this time.
Stormy Liberal was champion turf male, Timmy, was what he ended up winning. So, I mean, there's arguments to be made on both sides of the fence there, and we're going to bring back Right or Wrong next Saturday morning, Nick Zito, as we do every single week here on I Ask They Answer. Guys, we're inside the final 4 minutes of the program, so we're going to make this next topic quick. Who is your pick in these other categories that we haven't talked about yet? 3-year-old male. Is it going to be Sierra Leone, Fierceness, or Dornoch? Tim, who is your pick?
Well, before the Breeders' Cup Classic, it was going to be Fierceness, but Sierra Leone won the big one. He finally won the big one, and he and Fierceness both beat each other twice in head-to-head matchups. But the Breeders' Cup Classic beating older horses, I think that solidifies it for Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, hands down, no doubt.
All right, how about the older dirt females? Adair Manor, Idiomatic, or Raging Sea? Tim, who's your pick?
I picked Idiomatic. It was going to be the Breeders' Cup Distaff was supposed to be a showdown between Idiomatic and Torpedo Anna. Idiomatic never got there. She was retired. I think that she had the 2 grade ones this year, won the Spinster by 6.5 in her last start. Classy individual. I give it to Idiomatic.
Agreed.
Yeah, I went with the Adair Manor on top in that one.
Well, you can make an argument either way.
You can. I mean,
Tim,
Manor had a
she was
great
trained
year,
by Bob Baffert, Tim.
I know. I can't give it Bob every flower, can I?
You try your best.
All right. Well, we've come to that point of the show where each of you get to make your final point of the week before we wrap things up. So, Tim, why don't you kick it off for us, my man? What is your final point of the week?
My just prayers and thoughts are for everyone out in California with the wildfires running rampant, and I know there's Santa Anita's very dangerously close to that. The thoughts are with all those people out there, not just the horsemen, but everyone that lives out there, and I hope that thing gets rectified soon.
Yeah, that's true. My brother's out there on the edge of all that, so a lot of tragedy there.
Amen.
You know, I just want to say we're going in our third year now doing this show. I love doing it every week with you guys, and I love these listeners getting involved, stopping us, and asking questions, and just keep it up.
Yeah, keep those questions coming. Guys, I'm going to make one final point this week, too. We lost a dedicated listener this past week. My stepfather passed away, and he would listen to us every single week with my mom. I told you this is the only part of the show they listen to anymore. They could have cared less what I said in the 2.5 hours before we got to you guys. They love listening to you, and he was a massive horse racing fan, talking about being there for Secretariat when he won the Triple Crown and Forgo, and when he was stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky in the military, he would go to Churchill Downs every chance they got to get away from base. And racing has lost a huge fan, and the show has lost a wonderful person. And so rest in peace, Felch. We miss you, and the show won't be the same doing this every Saturday without you.
Yeah, thoughts are with your mother and your family.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
I hope he can hear us from the clouds.
I'm sure he's listening right now. Guys, appreciate it. We're going to do this all over again next Saturday morning.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim discuss, email it to me, Mike@horseracingradio.net. We will get it worked into the show for you. I Ask the Answer is presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business. I'm back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network, where racing comes to talk.
I'm William Shatner. I've been around a long time, but I'm truly humbled when I see the real battles our brave, paralyzed veterans have faced defending our freedom. And when they come home.
I had just come home from serving over in Germany. Next thing I know, it was 3 weeks later. I was paralyzed.
While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed for the rest of my life.
I was on a routine patrol, and we were in the desert of Kuwait, and the vehicle flipped and landed on top of me, which left me paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay, folks, this is heroism. That's why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America, because they've kept their promise to never leave a fallen soldier behind. A roof over their heads, accessible homes, cars, jobs, benefits.
PVA has brought me back to life.
Show them their sacrifice hasn't been in vain. Go to PVA.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer. Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning, the cap is loose on that catch-up.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Okay, antibodies, huddle up. We're a great team, but the flu is dominating. The good news is the human we're protecting just got his flu shot. That means all of us antibodies have strong new gear that will help us fight and defend against the flu. We must win so that our human can stay healthy and help protect the people he cares about most.
Let's work as a team to defend against the flu. Gear up with a flu shot to help protect yourself and others and reduce your risk of being sick or hospitalized with the flu. Learn more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow. Or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, don't forget, Blood Horse now has a few new ways to read Blood Horse magazine online, on a tablet, or on your phone. And now through tomorrow, Sunday, January 12th, you can subscribe to the Blood Horse magazine digital package for only $39 a year. Pretty good value there. Go to bloodhorse.com/new digital offer to get started today. And hurry, the offer ends tomorrow, January 12th. Well, good stuff, huh? Dale and Tim looking at some of the Eclipse Award finalists and some of the categories. I do say that Brian Hernandez Jr. was the biggest snub. Not putting Brian Hernandez, and listen, this isn't taken away from Tyler Gaffalione in the year that he had, Erod Ortiz Jr., Flavian Pratt, but I think Brian, the year that he had, was absolutely worthy of being among the top three, and I voted for Brian to win the whole thing. I mean, the year that he had guiding Torpedo Anna through her campaign and winning the Derby with Mystic Dan. Then I mentioned the other graded stakes wins. And you might say, Barron, are you nuts? Look what Flavian Pratt did. Are you crazy? But I do think that Brian deserves some recognition there. And actually, I'm telling you wrong. I put Brian second. I put Flavian on top. But I put Brian second. I did vote Ken McPeak as the champion trainer over Chad Brown. And again, taking nothing away from Chad, it was one hell of a year for Chad Brown. But I think what Kenny did warrants some respect there, and I think that he could walk away with the hardware. Yeah. All of those questions will be answered coming up in just a couple of weeks down in Florida. Hope you enjoyed the program here this morning. My thanks to all of our guests for making it possible as we look back on the Eclipse Awards, looked ahead to more great action coming up here this weekend with Kevin Kilroy and the TwinSpires Triple Play, Kurt Becker with his Stroll Through Racing History, and Dale Romans and Tim Wilkin in that previous segment, I Ask, They Answer. If you missed any portion of the show, head back to our website, horseracingradio.net, to check out all the podcasts, and you can do that too on every podcast platform. My thanks to Lee Delapina in our Lexington studios and to Chauncey for handling our social media. I'm Mike Penna. Go Steelers! Beat the Ravens.